Hello, we're live.
Hello,
Welcome to
hello.
Overseas Sundays. We're
Yes,
back again.
we
I'm
are.
looking forward to this one.
Yes,
Big
very
time.
excited. We have a magical guest on.
Yeah. So joining us from all the way from California, I think. I know it's Pacific time, is Luna Stower. Hello.
Hi, y'all. Thanks for having me. So
Thanks
exciting
for
to
thanks for
connect with
coming
you
on.
overseas.
You're just back from Spanavis. You've probably got a lot on, so thanks for making the time for coming on to chat to
Yes.
us.
Absolutely. Yeah, I saw you guys lighting up. So I've got my active vape pen that
Oh
I
yeah.
got out in Barcelona with the live rosin in it, and it's delicious. So
How
I
was
see you
it?
guys. So cheers.
Yeah, blaze.
Yeah.
Feel free to blaze away. How would that compare to stuff in the States?
So actually it's from the States. They just had it with them. But
Okay,
this is off that's off
you're
record.
the long way around.
Yeah, it was I filled it here.
Okay,
Just the
okay.
hardware, but no, it's the global family. You know, we like to have our stuff with us everywhere we go, and we love to check out what's happening everywhere. But no offense to anywhere around the world, California is just in the top. So it's hard to
Yeah,
kind of leave home and just hope that you're going to find something that doesn't, that matches like what you're used to and your standards. So sometimes we just kind of,
yeah. No, you're
Yeah.
definitely leaving the orchard to go out to fucking pick apples somewhere else. Like you know what I mean. You make the best
Yeah.
weed by far, and ever since, especially. I don't know whether like in the 90s when you first had medical, but definitely since like Colorado did it, you was definitely just up the game big time. You know what I
yep,
mean? So,
absolutely.
and what part
Yeah,
of
we had
California are
the
you in?
first medical program, but Colorado was the first to do
The legal, yeah, yeah.
we call it adult use.
Okay.
Okay.
And what part of California are you in?
I'm in Oakland, California, baby, Northern
Oh yeah, that's
California, across
that's
the bay from San Francisco,
that
very
was the
close to
new
the
Amsterdam for a
Mediterranean.
long time,
Oh,
Oakland.
nice.
Mm.
Yeah. What was the TV show you had there? Green Wars, Weed Wars.
Yep, Weed Wars at
Yeah,
Harborside. Yep, in Oakland. Yep.
yeah. I used to watch that all the time. That was great.
You know, I actually never watched it because
Oh yeah.
it was like too close to home. It was like not entertaining to watch my own like local politics.
Would you have ever
Scene. I was
showed
like,
up on it?
no, I still have never seen it, even though I
Would
know
you have ever
everyone who's
showed
in
up in the
it.
background?
I might actually be in it. I don't know. I was in a documentary called Big Vape. It's about Juul and the way that Plume became Pax, Pax became Juul, and then Juul was sued for $500 million for targeting children. And it's a 4-part, like 45 minutes each or so, or something like that, or maybe it's just a couple parts. It's kind of like a movie that's broken up into a few parts. It's really worth watching, but randomly unrelated, me and my sister were at like a venue here called the New Parish, and there was just a pop-up happening, and they were like, oh, there's these little pods that look like Curids, and you pop them in, and it's like a nicotine. We weren't really into nicotine, but I was like, what's this vape? Like, this is interesting, and ended up being in one of the promo, like in the background of one of these like pop-up guinea pigging kind of R&D focus group situations. And I'm actually, because the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, I feel like I'm going to be in this somewhere. And on the third episode,
Yeah.
I'm
This
like,
looks very
oh
familiar.
my God. But that's the thing is
Proper
when you're in it,
deja vu.
you leave your mark, and it's a part. You're a part of the movement. The movement's a part of you, and you could leave
Yeah.
the movement, but the movement's never going to leave you. You know.
No,
Yeah.
definitely. So tell us more about how it stands there, how the movement, where you got so where
Yeah.
did you get started in it first of all, and then how it is now, basically.
Yeah, so I've been in California my whole life. I was born and raised in the Bay Area here. We call it the Bay Area because it's the area around the San Francisco Bay.
Okay,
And we started our medical program in 1996. So I've been smoking, growing it, and selling it since I was in middle school. I'm
that's
41.
when they legalized medical first, wasn't it?
It was
96.
medical from 1996 to 2016.
So
We
you are at it since day
or sorry,
one.
2016.
So since it was made legal, you've been there at the start of medical
Oh no,
in.
I was there. Yeah, exactly. Since it was medical, yeah. So we really don't use the word legal because not only is it confusing,
Not
but
federal.
it's a misnomer because really, when we as a state, when the average voter looks at something on a referendum or on a Senate bill or on a any kind of law, they're seeing like want weed, yes or no, and people are like yes. But what they don't realize they're voting for is in their minds, they think they're voting for decriminalization, which means the removal of penalties around having it, selling it, buying it, consuming it. But what they're really getting is commercialization, which is taxing, controlling,
Yeah,
and escalating, and actually in a lot of cases the creation of more crimes. So for example, before, when it was Prop 64, when it was Prop 215, I was able to grow 6 plants in my backyard per person per household. So if I had 4 people, that's 4 times 6 plants.
Okay.
Now it's 6 plants per household. Before, if you had an open joint, it was possession of cannabis. Now if you have an open joint, it's an open container, which is a DUI, and you can lose your license, and it's $15,000. So there's a lot going on around.
Better in some ways and worse in other ways.
So we really don't like to say legalization. We'll say adult use, or some people will call it recreation, but we also
recreational,
that because I believe all use is on some form medical use. I don't believe that anyone's purely using it just to have fun. If you're using it to have fun because you want to take the edge off, it's because we have low level anxiety, or we're having a moodiness to us, or we're having low energy and we want a little boost, or we're having too much energy and we want to manage that. We don't have the language for it because a lot of us don't want to pathologize ourselves, which is fine. We don't need to pathologize ourselves, but I don't think we need to make everything rosy. Like, not every family who goes to Disneyland is just going for fun. They're going because they hate their husband, they hate their kids, they hate their life. They're like, I'm just going to distract them with Disney for a second.
Yeah.
It's not always about recreation. Self-care, right? It's depression. It's managing a lack that we have. So we're trying to change the language around it because we don't want to give the system and the man so much power to be like, yes, daddy, make things legal. Like, plants are already legal, bro. Like, you can't criminalize nature. So let's just own this narrative,
Yeah.
We call it commercialization. What we use is when we commercialized, because then it just calls it what it is. It's like we put it through a dispensary. Let's call it what it is. We didn't legalize it. We just let the man, Uncle Sam, take a portion of it in taxes. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
There aren't less people in prison for it necessarily.
Yeah. The only reason it was made illegal is so they could figure out how to make money off it and how to capitalize on it. And
well, that's what happened in Thailand. The only reason they legalized is the king's son was in trouble for weed, and they temporarily changed the order so that he wouldn't get in trouble. And once he was out, that was when they started trying to reel it back in.
Wow.
So it's always capitalism. You can't really mix capitalism.
I knew the last king died in 2018, 2019, because I was over there for Thai New Year, and the last king died around that time. So I knew the new son had something to do with the legalization. I didn't realize he got caught with it and the whole loopholes and.
Well, this is why we don't call it legalization. We call it commercialization, because that's all that it was. Is they were like, okay, to possess it, all these things, like it's okay for, it's okay for the rich people. It's very classist too, because it's like, it's also about who's getting policed, right? Because I grow more than, the legal limit in my backyard. I'm not getting messed with because I live in a nice neighborhood and I'm a white girl. But if you're growing the legal limit and a cop wants to mess with you, or you're not a documented immigrant, we have a lot of people with questionable status here in California because of the destabilization of Mexico that we caused. So we have a lot of friends and family from Central America and Mexico that live here. And if someone wants to be mean and call the cops on them because they have something growing or whatever, they can absolutely be taken away for that. So there's the spirit of the law, and then there's the letter of the law. The letter of the law may say something, but the way that it's enacted is usually based on which communities are more policed, which communities have less access to lawyers, because we are a very litigious country and state. California is the most litigious place on the planet. You are more likely to get sued here than anywhere else. You're more likely to get divorced here. You're more likely to get into a small claims court here than anywhere in the world because of how litigious we are. So
it's just Hollywood. It's like a movie, California. The whole thing's like a movie. I lived in San Diego for the summer, and it feels like you're in a Hollywood movie. Everything is dramatic. Everything is over the top. Everything is just crazy.
It's a horror movie sometimes, you guys.
I remember even being at the bar, and these guys were talking about they were like obviously drinking, and they're like, "Oh, if I get pulled over, I'll just start telling the police that he's racially profiled," and all these spiels they have, knowing that legally, if they do this and do this, that they'll get away with this. And I'm like, this is such a crazy. They're so worried about being sued that they can't even do their jobs, and it's just mental. Like it is a crazy country.
Yeah, it is a crazy country, and I think it's because we are really like a lot of other places. You guys are experiencing this in Europe right now too. I travel a lot to Latin America, and I see these monocultures where everyone sings the same songs. Their grandma has the same name. They do the same thing with their shoes when they enter the house. They drink the same beer. They make their rice the same way. There's something very beautiful.
It's just this culture they built.
Right. And you look across the street, like someone hits you, they get out of their car, they look like your cousin, you have more in common with them, and you're automatically going to be like a little bit more, like there's just a little bit more warmth or a little bit more intimacy. Whereas here it's like, you know, the young black kid with the old Asian lady, and it's like they don't have language in common, culture in common, they don't even can't even speak to each other.
They can't even
When there's
communicate.
conflict, you find the things that are different because there's more differences than commonalities. And I find that that's the
hard to find common ground.
Melting pot. I mean, there's a good side. We obviously love diversity. Diversity is the best part of life. Like it makes life worth living. I don't have most of my friends are not white. Most of my friends are non-white. You know, I'm a white Jewish woman, and I have very few white Jewish friends. I you know, Black, Mexican, you know, Sri Lankan, Indian, Korean, Guamanian. Like this is my community. But it does create a lot more energetic labor and work to try to find those things. So that's kind of my excuse for why Americans act so crazy, is because we're trying to navigate potential, what we see as like antagonistic differences.
You're so young as a country. You don't have that years of culture, of history that like made Europe, made Asia, made all this. You know what I mean? That past every generation. You're all the people who left because you couldn't deal with the real world and goes, we're going to fix it and make our own world. 3 strikes and you're out. Everybody gets a gun. You know what I mean? It's going to be this paradise. And suddenly you're like, wait, shit can go wrong here too. What do we do when this happens? And
we do have a fabulous constitution. It was written on hemp, and you know, but the problem is it still considers black folks 3/5 a human being. It was still built on an enslavement and raping of human bodies, and we will never outlive that history. Just like outlive their history, and Britain can't outlive their history. These colonial
Britain's got a good job of covering it up. Theirs is, I think people are starting to forget. We're Irish. We don't forget. We remind people at the drop of a hat. So we went through everything they went through and more for a lot longer. You know what I mean? So
you can't cover up genocide and imperialism. It's not going to be covered up.
But now, if you think back to who the bad guys are, you're going to say Nazis. You won't even think of the British Empire for 1,000 years doing that and more. You know what I mean? Like, so it's
the Belgians did in the Congo. They were the most brutal people on the planet. No one ever talks about the Belgians.
Same with the Dutch. The Dutch were just as bad around the world as well. Like, so, like, but it's history. But
now they're all heralded as like the places on like the peaceful people. Oh, they're the Dutch. So you go there, and it's just like they were literally chopping children's hands off. Looking at their lives.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
This is the thing what's going on in the US right now too, is they are literally, the Trump administration is literally pulling information off of websites. They are making it illegal to teach about ethnic studies or slavery in schools. They are going through the SS and Nazi playbook. And, you know, I taught middle school and high school for many years, English. And one of the books I had to teach was Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 450. Fahrenheit 451, and it's about book burning. It's literally about the way that systems are trying to reset and control narratives and understanding by limiting literacy and limiting access to true history. And it is a fascist playbook. And this is what I love about cannabis, and what I love about being a Jew is like the oral history and the storytelling cannot be taken from us. We are storytellers. We are shit talkers. We remember shit, even though we're still we remember when things happen. We talk about Brownie Mary and Dennis Perone in the 1980s and 90s, helping the AIDS patients here that were dying in the 40,000 numbers from wasting syndrome. Guess what helps wasting syndrome? Weed. Guess what kind of weed? Weed brownies. Guess what's easy to bring into medical institutions like hospitals? Brownies. From a little old brownies. That's how we got Prop 215, was the cops came and they raided her house and arrested her, and there was a photograph of her on the front of the SF Chronicle, this tiny Italian 90-year-old woman getting violently dragged from her home for giving dying men life-saving medicine. And Dennis Perone, and the people went batshit. And Dennis, you know what? I'm riding this wave. And that was in 1995. And by 1 year later, we had a medical that every single medical system copied from us. Oregon, Colorado, everything that you see was from California. It was from Brownie Mary and Dennis Perone, who was a gay man.
What was her
Brownie Mary.
Brownie Mary, little Brownie Mary. She's so cute. Brownie Mary and Dennis Perone were two old fogies.
Thank you for this knowledge.
Yeah, this is the thing, is they don't want us to know this. They don't want us to know that this was built on AIDS patients. The reason why you guys had your World Cup of cannabis, what was it? The High Times World Cup.
Times,
the reason you guys had that 90% of those genetics was from Northern California. Most of those products were from a regulated California market because of Brownie Mary. We were able to do what we did with the High Times cup, because of that. I'm pulling up a picture of them.
Legend.
Freaking cute these guys are. Like, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh my God,
Does
you
it
would
get
Oh,
cuter?
geez, you got the
Our
fingers.
grandma and our grandpa, you guys. Like, this is who we owe everything to.
Medical.
Look at how old and normal these folks are.
Yeah.
These are our
These
pioneers.
criminals are.
A
Wow,
gay
and-
man and a woman who had lost her son to AIDS. The reason why she moved out from the Midwest to San Francisco to do this was her kid died of AIDS. And she was a Bible thumping Catholic lady that said, you know what? I don't care that he was gay. I lost my son and I'm not losing another one. And everyone she went in, she called them her sons. This is
wow.
real medical advocacy. That's
Yeah,
why we don't
no,
call it
absolutely.
legalization.
Yeah, making a change.
Yeah,
Wow,
wow,
I've never
I
heard that
genuinely-
before.
No,
Yeah,
I've never
that's
heard of this woman. Thank you for sharing this.
Yeah, we have a Democratic, Brownie Mary Democratic Social Club that's still an active community club that still does events and raises money and awareness. We have the Cannabis Trail, which is formerly a nonprofit, but it's now a for-profit that we created stop-off points from the bottom, from San Diego all the way to the Emerald Triangle in Northern California, where people can go along the tourism trail and stop by different important sites where the 420 was born in Marin with the kids that started 420, where Brownie Mary was, where Dennis Perone, like certain parts of San Francisco with Harvey Milk and the cannabis industry in San Francisco and the gay scene. And then there's the hippies and then the rednecks and all of our, everything from around the state. You can actually go through like a proper tourism trail and see and learn about all these things, because we do believe
that's
that
how cannabis affected all these different people in the, you know what I mean, from the
right. And we still see it. We still see it. Some of these clubs that were around during the 215 phase, like Harborside, the Weed Wars, that came around because of Brownie Mary. So we don't even know that we're standing on the shoulders of giants. We're just like, wow, look at the view. It's great up here. And you're like, you're literally ahistorical. You have the 90% of what's gotten us here people can't name.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
that's
no,
part
for
of my
sure.
job as an educator in the space, is just to keep reminding people that, we work for the people in the plant. We don't work for brands. We don't work for manufacturers. We don't work for
100%.
strains. We work for cannabis sativa L. There's no hemp. There's no marijuana. It's just cannabis. It's all one plant. We're all one people. We have the same endocannabinoid system. I don't care if you're from Africa, from South America. We are the same on the inside, and this plant treats all of our bodies almost exactly the same.
Yeah, no,
and
for
that's
sure.
the thing we need to start focusing on, is what we have in common, not what we have that's different.
100%. Now we talk about how, like, so many people now think the fight is over. We've won. It's legal. Let's get the packs out. Let's get the money. We talk about so often of the people who got us here. You know what I mean? And how it's not over, and we're just trying to keep the ball rolling. You know what I mean? Because
and keep the word going.
yeah, no, for sure.
It needs to
Because
be spoken on, because as you said, it's not the brands and the strains, it's cannabis, it's the community, it's everything as one.
yeah,
That's not over. We can't just freely be ourselves. We can when we're together, but not in society.
yeah,
And that's a big thing that needs to change. And
100%.
that's why speaking on it and like breaking the taboo and speaking on it more in like a medicinal way is what needs to be done. It doesn't need to be led by
medicinal is
Paxton.
definitely the gateway drug to the ignorant. You know what I mean? Because so many people out there are just like, oh, it's taboo, it's the devil's lettuce, it's all this reefer madness bullshit they've been fed their whole life. And then suddenly they see a loved one get better because of this. Then suddenly, like, maybe it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Maybe there's more to this. You know what I mean? So I think medicine is definitely the gateway drug to the ignorant.
So that makes a lot of sense, and I want to nuance that, because I absolutely agree. So that's more on the hearts and minds around getting Granny to not think that you're a loser for smoking it and understanding why you use it. However, in my context, the Black community, the religious community, which typically are very similar, we have a strong Baptist and Lutheran, Black Baptist and Lutheran community here in the United States, because I was part of slavery, was like, really pushing that narrative, so they made it their own, and it's like, the black churches are way cooler than obviously the
they look much more fun in all the movies for sure.
They know about black Jesus. They know Jesus was black now, so they get to like own, the heritage of the African, descendancy of Judaism and the Old Testament. So I mean, it's definitely like their own brand that they've owned, but there's a reason why, in the United States that's been a legacy. And so you've got the Latinos and the Asians, like mainly in the Bay Area, let's just call it Chinese.
Yeah.
So which Chinese, a little bit of Japanese, are a little bit more. They're a little bit more forward with plant medicine, but we'll just call it black, brown, and Asian in the Bay. Yeah. And these are all terms that they use about themselves. I'm like, these are how these communities describe themselves.
Yeah.
But these are the ones that show up to the anti-cannabis rallies. And when I started talking to these community leaders, the pastors at these churches, that leaders of these, Chinese churches that were busing hundreds of Chinese moms and grandmas in to scream about the fear around this. When you get down to it, whether it's the religious argument or it's just that, because if you look at the ethnic background of these folks, when you boil it down, it's because they're tired of the police policing their communities and their children, and they're worried about their kids going to jail. The Latinos are worried about their kids getting deported, and they want their kids to get a good education and be, they came for a better life, so don't fuck around. Trouble. The black folks, they're like, don't welcome that into this home. We're not doing drug. Like we've already been called drug addicts and all this stuff for so many. We don't want to be associated with that. We're rebranding ourselves. We're trying to be taken seriously as parts of this community. We don't want to be associated with drugs. So they tell that to their kids. So if you really think about it, and then the religious thing, the pastor, what's everyone going to say, and the talking, and everyone knows that the religion, no one's really worried about going to hell for cannabis. They're worried about the auntie talking shit, and then they don't get the job or with their cousins.
Everyone's been so lied to.
If you really think about it, it's not actually no one has an issue with the plant. Black folks are not afraid of the plant. Mexicans are not afraid of the plant. Chinese people are not afraid of going to hell.
They're afraid of the crime that be associated with it.
Police. They are tired of losing their kids to the prison industrial complex. So that's what I try to nuance it and go a little bit like when they were calling it that, no one really thought that the plant was the problem. They were worried of losing control over the people. And that's what religion does. That's what racial separation does. All of these things separate us from each other and control us and make us fear each other. The reefer madness that you mentioned is so important. Because what did? They took black jazz musicians, and all the white dudes' wives were screwing them. Well, yeah, dude, they're hot, talented musicians, and they're feeling good on cannabis. It wasn't because they were high on drugs and getting into the trance of the black man's magic. It was like, yeah, they're fun, they're sexy, they're talented.
Fun,
and so it was a lot of fear of losing it was fear of losing the white woman to the black man, and then obviously the Latinos coming and having their brilliance and adding their incredible immigrant spirit to the American people. They were demonized in this messaging as lazy, and it made cannabis users lazy, and they became rapists and all these things that Donald Trump is still using these tropes, still using racist dog whistles. And we know that black and brown people we are a majority in California, black and brown. We're a majority Spanish speaking. We are not a white state. Like we are made beautiful because of our people. And so this is why we try to just be like, it's one thing to create, like to change hearts and minds by being like, oh, my kid has epilepsy. I have severe period cramps. My man has MS. I have fibromyalgia. Like, come at me, bro. You're going to tell me I can't put something in the ground outside and use that for myself. But then it goes beyond that to say, okay, but we can have our righteousness and win hearts and minds around medical. But if we do not change the penalization, we will not change it all the way. The aunties still get it, but they don't want you to be smoked. Like my dad, I am a cannabis celebrity. I have a master's in teaching. I have been running a business in cannabis education for a decade and a half. And my dad, who supports everything I do, still, when I post something on Instagram where I'm smoking, goes, smoking with a no smoking sign. Like he just doesn't like it.
My mom's the same. She's been lied to for so long. It's like turning a tanker ship. It takes a long time.
But we haven't. But it's like if a cop saw, like he was upset that I was like smoking in the car. He's like, it's illegal to smoke and drive. And I'm like, he's still right. He's so right to yell at me. He's my dad. He's worried about me. Something could happen to me. Even my partner gets mad at me when I say I grow past the legal limit in my backyard. He's upset. He doesn't want to get attention on us. It doesn't. And he's a grower and a smoker and a breeder. And he's like, I don't know about, showing us smoking in the car either. These are people that are related to someone who is well known for being outspoken. They are into cannabis. They support cannabis. And they're so like, but I don't know about that. Why is that? It ain't because they don't buy it. It ain't because we didn't convince them. It's because it's still fucking illegal, bro. Yeah. It's still federally illegal. You can't have it in certain contexts. So I do want to make sure that, and the reason I'm being so passionate about this and getting so intense about it is because I do think we need to do a little bit more intellectual and legislative effort and labor. We, like, to your point, you said it beautifully. We just rest on our laurels. Oh, it's legal now, just like racism. Oh, we have MLK Day, so like racism's gone, right? Like black people,
we fixed it.
No, bro.
We have a bracelet.
Democracy is exactly. You have to keep doing it. You have to keep, like, when your weed plants look great and you walk away from the great, they're going to be fine. No, it's like when they look good is when you need to give them the most amount of love. So that is like, don't forget. You have to show up at city council meetings, your state legislator, your federal governments, your national governments, and keep saying this is not a Schedule I. I don't know what you guys have, but like, this is not an addictive substance. This is not a harm-causing substance, and it can't kill you. And I'll finish my rant with one fun fact. You know why you can't die from cannabis? You know why none of us know anyone who the cause of death was weed? Because our spinal column is the only place in our whole bodies that does not have cannabinoid receptors. It's the mainframe that cannot be overridden by cannabis, unlike alcohol and all the other things that within 5 hours you could be dead from over-consuming. There's no to override the mainframe of the central nervous system. The CNS cannot sedate. And this is
that's too perfectly made.
Right? You just eat something, sleep, and vomit. What else are you going to do? Once it's out of you find it ain't killing you.
And usually that's what your body needed, was for you to just eat and sleep.
And maybe throw something up. Yep.
It usually is. It's like whenever we see the main people having whiteys, it's usually the people that have come on holidays, have just come from a 9-to-5 job, are stressed, are wired. They come on holidays, have a joint, and boom, their body drops.
They've been waiting for this time off for weeks and months and planning it. And just, like, I work in a coffee shop, I've seen 1,000 whiteys.
Absolutely. I'm going to use that. I love that. I always talk about like dehydration and low blood sugar and all the obvious shit. And it's like, no, you actually need to go night.
Your body's telling you, shut down.
It's like when you get a cold or you get a flu, people are like, this is the early symptoms of you should have been resting. I think cannabis does that to some people, especially when they're stressed and tired. It can impact them more because you have more of a drop to come from. You know what I mean? If you're kind of stable, you balance out. Whereas if you're up at this high level of stress and your body has to joint it.
And we see it over here, people have only got a 2-day break, 3-day break, and they're in Amsterdam. And I work in the coffee shop, so we were there the whole time. And I've seen probably 1,000 whiteys in my last 7 years. And it's almost just the same people. Like, some people might be the odd drink or they just can't handle it, but so many people, they're just run down. And this is the first time their body goes, I'm out, I'm done. You know what I mean? This is me checking out for a few hours. And
the whiteys, you're saying when they go white?
What we call it a whitey, when you kind of...
Because whiteys, you got black people call white people here, and it's not a nicer.
Okay, Well, in Ireland, we used to call it greenies, because you kind of go with a tint of green and brown.
Whitey. It is.
But like, I could spot it. You could literally see someone walk up and you see their face has no color in it. And I just say to my colleague, grab a chair, and they'd catch them we've caught people as they fall, because you can see them. And some people, their hands cramp onto the tables, and their loved ones are like, oh my God, they're dying, get an ambulance. And I'm like, they're fine. You need some sugar. You know what I mean? A sugar drink, sugar tablet. They're back to normal. Like, you know what I mean? I've got doctors out of the way.
This happens almost every time, like everywhere I go. And this is why I have a release of liability. If anyone's watching, you're hosting any sessions, get a fucking iPad or a clipboard and have someone sign a piece of paper when they walk in that says that if something happens, they crack their head open, they ain't suing you. I know
we don't live in America. We don't live in America. We don't need to worry about that kind of legalization.
Dude, people have lost their houses over us.
They wouldn't care.
Can you imagine losing your house over someone taking a bad dab at your dab bar? I have friends who lost their houses. I have to have an LLC. I have to have a literal LLC, and I have to put my house into a trust because I work in cannabis, because I could lose everything I own if someone falls from a dab. 1000%.
Jesus Christ.
And it happens all the time. It literally happened. The head of NORML, who's the head of the National Organization for Reform of Marijuana Laws, was at his own event, and it was a hot day in Sacramento, and we were just off of like, lobbying is hard. You're running around all day on your feet. It's high stress, high pressure. You're talking, you don't have time to eat. And so he just was like, his knees were locked in a conversation, and he did the same thing. He kind of faded. We did get him an ambulance, but he was fine. But it's like, this dude's been doing like cannabis organizing for like 40 something years. Like, he's literally the host of this party, this like, or not party. It was like a gathering. It was the day of action. We just had like, we went to a bar and had, I don't even think he was drinking. He was just tired. But like, we had a little cannabis, like smoked a little bit of weed, and it wasn't even a big deal. We were literally networking at a professional event in suits in Sacramento at the Capitol, and he was boom down with his hands and everything. And it's like, you're the most,
it's like a diabetic episode.
Out him out like in a negative way. He didn't do anything wrong. It's like a normal human thing. But when the people that literally invented cannabis activism are still like making that mistake, you should know that the people that don't know shit are really
but that once you know what's happening, like as I said, I've had people freak out, they're dying, getting ambulance, and I'm literally like, calm down. This happens all the time. It's like a diabetic episode. Their blood sugar is dropped. We're going to give them a sugar drink. In a few minutes, they'll be fine. They might throw up. They just need sugar. And 99% of the times, I've had one guy who literally wouldn't wake up. He was a big guy, and he was telling me how tired he was before he smoked. And my coffee shop is small, and the Dutch buildings, they had to put him on an inflatable stretcher to slide him down the stairs just to get him out the door. But again, he was just snoring. He was just unconscious. Like his wife's throwing water in his face. She's slapping him the whole lot. Usually that wakes them. Usually a bit of sugar and they're fine. But the odd time it's the extreme. But again, nobody dies from this stuff. Like, you know what I mean? They sleep it off and they come back fine. So the worst thing, they lose their holiday because they stayed in bed for 2 days. You know what I mean? And it's not the worst thing that happens. You know what I mean?
You needed a resting holiday. It is. I always say to them whenever they come back in the coffee shop, I'm like, right, go back to the hotel room and just sleep. You will feel so much the better of it when you come back from your holidays. You know what I mean? Actually go back and rest.
It's funny that you say a resting holiday. First of all, I just love your guys' accents. I just love it. But like this concept where I was just talking about this literally last night with my friend Bubsy. And he'd just come back from Thailand, but it was more of like an adventure vacation. But like, we only have one word. We just have vacation. And some people think of vacation as just like time off. Some people think of it as time for like to have an adventure. Some people think of it, but we were just saying the same thing. He's like, I feel like I need a vacation for my vacation. And what we're really saying is there's times when you want to travel. Traveling is not necessarily a vacation. We use it because that we took time off from work, of course, because we live in capitalist hell where everything
you're limited
time, right? So vacation is really just an institutional word, meaning your non-slave, your slave day off.
Like escape from work for,
But I like this intentionality of like just being honest about what the purpose and intention of that trip is. It's like, okay, I'm going to Barcelona. Like people are like, oh, you get to like have time off, because I left my old job at iSpire, which I was at 5 years ago, and had about 2 weeks before I started a gig with a new client. And it was Spannabis, and everyone was like, oh, so you get to have some time off. And I'm thinking to myself, like, running around from like club to club and going to a conference, seeing all my professional colleagues. I mean, obviously it's fun. They're my friends and I'm smoking and stuff, but I'm on my phone all day coordinating.
It's a different vacation, different holiday.
So you're up early, you're up late, it is stressful to a T, very stressful. And so I'm like, that was not a resting holiday for me. And so I think that that's part of the thing that this is part of why I'm going so hard into this concept of like hospitality and education and having retail and having clubs and shops, how you guys have these very communal kind of coffee shop vibe, that we really need to be, conscious of like this tourism approach to how people are coming to us as cannabis. It's like we are the people that are managing and letting them know, like, by the way, you thought you were coming on a travel adventure and you actually might need a resting vacation, and you can microdose the resting vacation within like maybe go to a spa day. Doesn't have to be all day every day. You can still go to Gaudi and go party in the club till 4 a.m. As long as you have like 8 hours, you get 8 hours of sleep. You go to the club, you get an edible, you go back and you have an afternoon nap, and then you can till 4 a.m. We don't have people like, women. This is why we want women like this gorgeous fairy to be a part of these conversations. Is like we give permission and allowance. Like you can still be a party boy and get drunk and fuck the hose, bro, but you can still take a nice nappy and take care of yourself and take a shower and a nappy and a poop and eat something and take care of your bio needs so you could be a raging playboy. Like everyone wants to be a raging playboy, but no one wants the nappy time with the poopies. Like we're still babies. You still need to make sure you're napping your inner baby. And like it's the party queen. Like that's why when people are like, how do you do it? It's like, because I'm a middle school teacher. I pack my snacks. I take my bathroom breaks when I need to. I take care of myself. I go home early when I need to. I stay up late when I need to. And I allow we always say you got to detox to retox. Retox to detox to retox. You gotta, flip flop it, and that permission within the cannabis industry. Like we are not alcohol and cocaine and cigarettes and nicotine. We don't need to be rock until the wheels fall off. We actually, Brownie Mary, we came from a caretaking medical argument. Let's stick with that. Let's approach people with, hey, we want to make sure that your time in Amsterdam, in Ireland, in London, in Spain, in Berlin is gonna be fire. Let's talk about hydration and blood sugar. Let's talk about oxygen and like not over, like slow and low is the way to go. You can always do more. You can't do less. Basic shit. Be around people you trust. Don't lose your phone. Like basic shit. Just like in Berlin, they tell you how to get and not get drugs. When you land in Barcelona, how to not get your phone stolen. When you land in the Bay Area, how not to get your car broken into, how not to get carjacked. Like there's places that people warn you. No one's ever telling you like these are the ways to navigate our city in an irie way that keeps your vibe and your high. We don't want it to get you high and then have you turn into a paranoid wreck at a police station because something happened to you. We want you to be high and experience Gaudi. We want you to be high and go to the Berlin Wall and have these experiences that you came across the world to experience with cannabis and deepen your understanding of things without looking over your shoulder and being like, yeah, you can't smoke joints openly at the Berlin Wall, like or whatever. It's like, have fun, be high and have fun doing touristy shit. Rule number 1, don't get caught. And if you're the host, aren't you responsible for that? You are. You're giving it to them. They're coming into Barcelona. You're giving cannabis to people. So they do tell you, don't walk out with it. If you're going to have it, hide it in your underwear. Don't smoke on the streets in Spain. You'll get arrested. Like they absolutely give you a little list of do's and don'ts. And it's fabulous. You feel very oriented. You feel very empowered and aware and understanding of what's going on when you're a Californian that's like, why is there nothing on this cartridge? There's no brand on it. Wonder why. You get checked by the cops. Oh, cool. Jetty Extracts made it. I can look them up on Instagram and find out exactly where their next event is. It's not like California where we're like, we can literally be like, here's my name, my number, and my address. I'm legal. It's
that's a dream.
Really illegal there. I've been arrested for having it there.
Yeah.
So, but thankfully the people were, because it's like a prenup. It's like you're actually honoring the nature of the thing to work out what happens when shit hits the fan. People want to avoid these hard conversations because they don't want it to get awkward. And it's like actually working this out ahead of time is the ultimate respect for the thing. You won't want to destroy this relationship and interaction with a bad memory. So have the awkward conversation in front. This is the worst case scenario. Now go have fun. But you don't let someone ride on the roller coaster without saying this is where the emergency, the plane. How many times do you just want to take the fuck off on that plane and they have to tell you the thing is under your seat? Yes, I know the flotation device is under my seat. I already know where the thing's going to drop from. I've been on a million, but every refresher, it's someone's first time. It's important to know if a plane changes. There's reasons. It's because we get that you want to leave 12 minutes earlier, but guess what? It's your life. This is everyone else's life around you, because when you panic and you don't know what's going on, you kill actually the other people when you are not paying attention. That's what happens in emergencies and crowds is one or two selfish people cause a stampede or leave their bag in the wrong place or something plugged in. You think it's all rules until you're running for your life. Have you seen these planes that are landing flipped over in the US and all the stuff that's been happening in the US? I've never been going down to the pre-flight instructions in my like you want to read along in the pamphlet. I'm like, absolutely, I'm reading along.
I've been watching videos online.
Where are we? Let's go. No joke.
Yeah, no, it's gone crazy this year.
So it's the same thing with a weed flight. We're flight attendants. Oh, I think I lost you guys.
So sorry about that.
Hi guys, sorry about that. I don't know if that was my Wi-Fi.
No, that was me.
Sorry,
for some reason, every now and again when I'm on live, my laptop just decides it does a quick restart. For no reason whatsoever, it just decides.
It's okay. It was perfect.
Yeah, I'm glad you stayed with us.
I was cracking myself up over that.
No, yeah, it's
a metaphor, though. It is a metaphor for flights, you know, of the like flight
if you
and the
crash at any time.
we are the stewardesses of people's experience.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Especially for newcomers. Like we had one time at one of the events, this girl from China who had never consumed in her life and was so like, oh my God, this is so taboo. I could never be seen or caught with this. She had edibles, she had joints, she had vape, she had dabs.
Volcanoes, everything.
But because everyone there made her so comfortable and guided her through every step. This will make you feel this way. This will give you this effect. She was so comfortable with every part of the high. She just enjoyed it. But it was that if you're guided, if someone just gives you, especially something like a dab, just gives you a dab and then just leaves you in the corner. Oh my God. Especially if you're not used to it. You could be sitting there overthinking everything. Whereas if you're someone that will literally be like, this is what it's going to be like. It's a cold temp. It's hot. It's
you're going to get more flavor this way. You're going to get more of a high this way, and also you need to be guided.
Yes,
because it is, and people can be put off weed very easily.
Forever.
You know what I mean? You can have a million bad drunken occasions and never stop drinking.
I see this all the time.
I always say this. I'm from Ireland. I've seen a million bad drunken occasions, and people are back on the drink the next day. You know what I mean? And I'm like, did you not see? You're still apologizing from yesterday, and they're back drinking for today. You know what I mean? It's what's happening. And then they smoke a joint like, no, that was bad. I'm like, that was bad.
Usually it's the edible. Let's be honest, the one that really bad.
See, in Ireland we don't get edibles. You know what I mean? We only take Amsterdam.
Oh, well, good, because that would really turn.
Grown up in Ireland, we didn't get choice. We just got given shit haze at a high price. You know what I mean? You didn't even you rang and said, do you have weed? They said yes, and they'll bring you weed. There was no options. There was no anything. Only when I moved here like 8 years ago did I really start discovering sativa, indica, haze, kush, all this stuff.
Is it still like that in Ireland?
It's got a menu now, you know what I mean? But it's half the stuff is imported and everything's imported, but you know what I mean? It's all this Cali packed and all this other bullshit that's going around. So I don't trust it. I don't trust it in shops here. I definitely wouldn't trust it off some guy in a car on the corner. You know what I mean? So it's, but yeah.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, no, it is. Well, it's
if Ireland could become legalized,
like the UK have a great medical. The UK are doing very well with their medical system. They have lots of different options. They have it delivered out to you the next day. All this, I don't know the standards that good, but it's getting better, and there's a lot of options. And also now, if you have a prescription, you can be in possession without problem. You can travel. You can get on a plane with a prescription of weed. No problem from England, travel to Amsterdam. So
I actually know. I think my friend Jamie Pearson was telling me about this. That she has a London-based international. It covers you for everywhere.
I think once you have it, Europe recognizes it, and you can just move around with it. You know what I mean? So it's like this license to possess.
I want to do that, dude. I gotta get that done. Let's do that. Can we meet up? Do you guys have that?
Some people have the Dutch one. We're talking about getting it. A lot of people we know have the Dutch medical, and that gives you the same kind of rights, I think, doesn't it? Kind of.
Yeah, it would be the same as well. Will you be at Mary Jane Berlin?
You know, I don't know. It's still a 50-50. I really hope so. My European family is everything to me.
Okay.
I love the Americas. I'm like all about, it's like you can see my earrings, they're all like made by, Pueblo Indians and like Guatemalans and Ecuadorians. Like I'm so American in my heart, but like, God, Europe, you guys are my fam bam. I felt like
it's a different world over here completely.
Technically, I'm from there. I'm Ukrainian by ethnicity. Okay. So technically I'm home when I'm out there, but I just, man, y'all are classy and thoughtful and educated and motivated, and it's such an unbelievable political savvy, and in ways that just like North Americans just do not. I mean, I'll leave Mexicans out. They're pretty good with their history and their political activism, but like, actually, I'm going to leave Canada out too. I'm just going to call it the United States.
Canada's run well. Canada's a very well run country.
We're the worst. We're the worst right now. I just want to apologize to any. I feel like I need to do disclaimers like this now. Like, I'm so sorry to the world for what we are promoting in the Middle East, for what we are promoting around the world, for what we are promoting in Hollywood and in music. The rise of neo-Nazism in the United States is so ironic and hurtful. And I'm just so sorry to all of our European, Canadian, Mexican friends for the way that our people in power are acting. They do not represent the majority of people in the United States.
No,
it is
of course
not
not.
an American
It's
quality.
always the minority that
You guys
runs
know
everyone.
this. You guys know that we ain't that politicians don't represent us, but I still have to say, it's
America,
absolutely not okay.
America is like the child of the British Empire that's just continuing on in its new way of kind of controlling the world. Like, you know what I mean? It's the British Empire had to kind of step back and go, right, we've done it for 1,000 years. And America's like, I've got this, Dad. Don't worry, I'll take over. You know what I mean? It's you can't just plant flags anymore. You gotta have a reason to go into these countries and police them now. You can't just plant your flag in there anymore. You gotta.
No, but don't worry, we're gonna pick up Greenland too. We just like want to.
Oh yeah, heard you're buying that.
Yeah, this guy who says grab him by the pussy and wants to take countries and is selling off our national parks. There's a special place in
he's
hell.
playing World Monopoly.
He is everything that we have been working as an activist community my entire life to show that America is. And I was going to Cuba during the Bush years and had to wear a fanny pack that said "fuck Bush" on it. I was like, and I didn't be able to read it because they're Spanish speaking, but I wanted so badly to like disassociate and not be connected to that. You know, it's important that we tell the world and we talk about, you know, just like it's just like I was a classroom teacher. Like when the kid is acting out in class, you don't get everyone's attention on the kid and be like, "You're bad. Stop doing that. You're making me look bad. You're distracting from the class." You talk to the kid next to them, and you say, "I really appreciate, Billy, how you like your eye contact with me really makes me feel like you're focused and engaged. I appreciate that you're not making any distraction noises instead of being like, stop tapping your pencil."
Positive.
I appreciate that you're not tapping your pencil. Like, I'm going to talk to the kid and put the cameras on the kid that's doing the right thing and have everyone focus on that kid. Have the model be the good kid.
That's
Everyone
genius.
knows to date kids in the class.
Because the other kid just wants the attention, and now he's not getting it. And the other kid's
Everyone's
getting
had
the
that kid in their class.
So if he wants the attention, now he's got to do what you're praising the other kid for. You know what I mean? That's
and then you pull in your other bully friend, Elon Musk, and you're like, "Yeah, she's fat, right? Look how fat she is." "Yeah, man, she's really fat." And now you have kids. You know, this is my childhood growing up in America is like it's like we honor the people that are the meanest, the most ruthless, the most sociopathic, that don't have a conscience, that step on other people to get ahead, that do
That's
not.
the American dream, isn't it? You know what I mean? That's the American. That's what you're built on.
Literally,
let's find their own land, take that, and then do
like
what
people are like, "What's American culture?" I'm like, extractive greed capitalism. What do you
the
mean?
building across the road is older than America.
Yep.
Most of the buildings here are older than your whole country. And your
I
whole
know,
culture,
and that's
you know
the other
I mean?
thing. That's why I love your analog, your metaphor for us being like the shitty teenage kids of the British Empire.
Yeah.
We're like, we got this. We know we can do this.
You in Australia is the younger brother that just surfs, doesn't even give a fuck. America's the older brother that just wants to fuck shit up. Like, look, Daddy, are you proud of me now? I took another country, Daddy.
Wait, do you use this metaphor all the time, or are you downloading this right now? I have to know.
No, I have a whole comic book I want to write about this whole metaphor.
Wait, let's go deeper. Let's go one level.
So my whole thing is I lived in Australia for a while. I've lived in New York. I've lived in California. So I've lived all around. So I realized when I lived in Australia that the Kiwis, New Zealand people, are the cooler versions over there. The Australians have this kind of delusions of grandeur, this kind of we're the big nation, kind of like what England has. So I realized that the Kiwis are the cool neighbors to Australia, as in the Irish are the cool neighbors to England. So I was like, right, we have to put up with them. And then I'm like, right, then also America, they've got their cooler neighbors of Canada, which is a bit more upright, and you know what I mean? They're just more straight and narrow, you know what I mean? So I had this whole concept to either have them as neighbors, where it was like Great Britain is this just old bigoted fucking empire, you know what I mean? This guy and his two sons, one's over USA for USA and Aussie for the Aussie guy, and one guy's just a surfer dude who doesn't give a fuck, and the other guy's like this gun nut crazy militant fella. And then just have this whole I don't know politics enough to make the satire good. You know what I mean? I even wanted to have.
I'll help you with that.
I
I'm
wanted to have
unknowingly on top of global politics.
they have a stepbrother of Israel and they have a neighbor of Palestine. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking of this 10 years ago before it all kicked back off.
Okay, you know what I'm gonna, and I don't want to get too crazy political here, but you know what I would almost do with that, because it's actually ethnically true. Palestine and Israel are actually twins separated at birth or cousins separated at birth. They're actually related and they act like they're not. That's clear to that story. They're not stepbrothers, actually.
Yeah.
They're half brothers. They're Abraham and Ismail. No, Abraham and not Muhammad was a prophet. I'm forgetting. I think it's Ishmael. Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't know.
We're brothers in the very beginning. Like we were literally like, Hebrew is 85% Arabic. Like we look the same, we sound the same. You can't tell the difference between us. And I'm not Israeli, I'm not Middle Eastern, so I shouldn't be saying we, but Jews and Arabs are more similar ethnically than we are to anyone else. So that's the part of that's the thing that hurts me the most, is like the people that I love the most in the world are my Arab brothers and sisters, and this concept that we are somehow different. We're the same monotheistic, our religions are the same, the same prophets and stuff. Like it's the craziest lie. It's the craziest lie.
Well, religion is the craziest lie overall, you know what I mean?
And the fundamentalists, you've got, Netanyahu and Hamas, and no, they don't represent anyone. They're these tiny groups of people.
It's only the people who believe it a lot that are the problem. The people who don't really care are just normal people.
And they don't have to live with the consequences. Their kids are not the ones fighting in these wars, America included. They start wars that these senators' children will never be drafted into. Or if they do, they're doing something behind a computer in DC.
It's like Game of Thrones for them. They're just moving stuff on a board. Let's go over there now. Take 100,000, send them there. You know what I mean? What? Okay. You know what I mean? It's not even, it's not real life to them. They don't understand.
And this is why we're hoping that plant medicine and psilocybin and cannabis and all these things are going to be the kind of thing that is going to create another kind of economy, another kind of community, global change. Look at the trade war that Trump just started. We need to start finding our own and let's rediscover the trade routes that have already been in existence for thousands, if not tens of thousands of years. Look into Frenchy Cannoli and his theory about the movement of cannabis across the world, specifically hash and seeds. And this is our birthright. We have been moving things before borders were borders. These are a lie. Like, let's start thinking outside of the boxes and the borders. And we already know that we are trading and sharing cannabis. Like I was just saying that in Amsterdam in the early 2000s, that was all U.S. growers and U.S. Like we were running the whole thing, and it was a beautiful thing. Like, you're welcome. Thank you. Like, this exchange. Like, it's not to own or to say that anyone's better. It's like, this is how things move. We're merchant plugs. Like, I usually have a plug necklace on. We're the plug. You need a thing. I know a guy. Jews are the oldest merchants in the world. Like, our people have always been trading things. Like, it's an honor to have a thing that someone needs to trade at bartering. And this plant wasn't really about making money. It was about sustainability.
No, never. Cashing in on cannabis is not part of it. You know what I mean? It's so much more than that. Like, it's
food.
The way you were saying, sorry, about the trade route, when we had Mila on the podcast, she was telling us that along the whole trade route of like India to Europe, there's just natural weed growing the whole way along that route, from traders just dropping seeds and and you can see naturally that so many people took this route and cannabis moved along so often that now it's part of this fabric of this kind of road. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Well, this reminds us too, like, it ain't about you. You're not doing shit. She is doing everything. Get out of her way. Do what she wants.
She's a weed. She'll grow.
Channeling her will. Like, this is not about us, boo. Like, people told me last night to write a book or whatever, and I'm like, no one wants to read a book about me. And he was like, it's not about you. And he looked at me like, honestly, like, it's not about. I didn't say about you. And I'm like, it's not about me. My work with this plant has just been her using me to do her will in like a weird, like, religious sounding way. Like, I am a servant to her will, and I'm not really a religious. I'm a very spiritual person. Obviously, I don't believe in the religious aspect of things because I think it's been perverted with the patriarchy. I'm a woman, and religions don't treat us well. So I'm not about that life. Until we start getting treated better, I'm not going to be a religious woman.
So they rewrite the Bibles.
Yeah, exactly. The Bible that I thump is the weed Bible. Like, I live by her word and everything that nature has taught me.
But if you lived by the Bible, if everyone lived by their actual books, they'd be crazy. You know what I mean? They pick and choose what they want from these books. You know what I mean? Because there's a
Huge
lot of
fan of the Bible.
crazy stuff in there that would not apply in today's logic. You know what I mean? So
and all of
yeah,
its
they pick and
interpretation
choose.
anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like even the man laying with another man, like we're interpreting that as gayness. It's like where no one even said gay, like all these things that we're reading into, it's like that's not even what it says. And half of it's metaphor anyway. Like Jesus going through the eye of the needle wasn't a miracle. There was a place in Jerusalem called the Eye of the Needle that you would go through this little area that looked like an eye of a needle. Like we're just so unimaginative. It's just
people take their own imagination.
Yeah, and it's no disrespect. And that's the thing is like at the end of the day, nature taught us everything in the burning bush. Like I just had a Jews and weed call. We have like a Shabbat call every week with all these people really high level in the cannabis industry. And we just talk about like cannabis and Judaism and how they intersect. We try not to get too political. We just keep it very spiritual and joyful and celebratory and connected. And there's so many metaphors. And I mean, the word cannabis is from kana. It's a Hebrew word. I mean, so many references, the anointing oil in the Bible is supposedly cannabis oil. Like there is just endless examples of how the voice of the universe and creator has been telling us to sit with plant medicine. The fruit of the vine, it gets you closer to God. If you drink it in small amounts, a little bit of wine is a sacrament. There's ways to engage with these things that are so loving and so humble and so graceful and full of gratitude and humility that allows us to access the divine without overdoing it. To your friend that's still apologizing for what he did drunkenly yesterday and is drinking it again, that's not the intentional use that the divine was telling us about.
Yeah.
You know, so it's us curtailing our human need to have to overdo and be unsatisfied and not deal with our inner demons and just fill this big empty black hole void in us with numbing agents and ketamine and all these things. It's like cannabis is gonna be a gateway drug if you have major mental health issues. Like get a therapist, do some mushrooms, do some ayahuasca, and then maybe cannabis you won't get addicted to because you're dealing with your childhood trauma. Or you can get, you know, your bipolar disorder diagnosed, and you can get on maybe potentially some Western medicine that might help you in conjunction with plant medicine. But we're not doing the work. We're thinking that these things are going to help us. And it's like, don't come to cannabis's altar with dirty hands. Get your shit clean before you come into this sacred space. Work your stuff out before you start blaming weed and alcohol and all these things for your problems. Like the gun situation. Guns are fabulous tools. It's psychos behind them that point them at humans and at animals.
For sure.
You know, that are not deserving or that are not in a intentional dynamic of a circle of life that's unhonoring of whatever's happening. There's ways to hunt and do these things in ways that are not cowardly and violent and narcissistic. Like guns are a wonderful, fabulous, amazing ingenuity of the human mind. We the outcome of
we turned like everything, like the internet. It was a great thing until humans got their hands on it and just perverted it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
but it's bringing us to each other right now. So I always say,
there's always a good side.
I'd rather keep social media for all its ills because it has brought me so many things I love, including you guys. I will always say that humans are 51% good and 49% pieces of shit.
I get that 100%. Like
that 1% means a lot.
100%.
You got to focus on it. You really got to focus on it and keep that as your main goal as well, is to keep enriching that 1%.
And your community, right? Having other people around you like this that keep you accountable. That are like, hey, Luna, you were mentioning this and that and the other thing, and then you're moving in a way that doesn't seem to be in alignment with that. Like, am I understand? Like, what's going on? Like, you said this was important to you, but I heard you say something like this. Like, what's up with that? Like, having people in our group that are like, hey, I thought we were going to grow to the next level. Like, we're working this way. We're trying to have this kind of messaging. What was up with this? That is the kind of shit that's going to make the revolution move forward. It's not violent.
Of course.
Like, oh, you're not gay enough. You're not vegan enough. You're not black or brown enough. You're not woke enough. You're not pro-Palestinian enough. Like, none of that matters. On the left, all we do is fragment into all these things. And the right is like, oh, you're anti-abortion. You're a Bible thumper. You believe in guns. Cool. We're fucking homies. They don't talk about things that they don't have in common. Like maybe they have a gay son or whatever. They don't talk about that. They're just like, you're team red.
Find that one thing they can link together with, and that's it. Now we have a common.
Try to divide even more.
We're like, do I want you on my team? And it's like, actually, you need all of us.
No, we try to like we do a lot of events and all this, and everyone welcome. You know what I mean? It's not just if you're smoking bong, smoking dabs, smoking joint. Everyone, you know what I mean? Like Fairy does an event every week called Puff Puff Paint. And it's just basically people getting together, getting stoned, arts and crafts, shut your mind off for a few hours, just pottery, What else?
Friends.
Flower pot painting,
It's
pumpkin
just
carving at Halloween and all.
Super
So
fun date night, super fun singles event, super fun
yeah,
friends getting together, super fun to
Yeah.
bring your girlfriend who's never been around cannabis to get her
that's
introduced.
it. It's
You know, just
welcoming for
fun
everyone.
painting. It's like
Yeah.
cannabis is a second thought, so it's really good for the mainstream people. Love it.
Yeah, no, it is.
It is. We've had a lot of people bring their parents because they don't want to just go into a coffee shop. They're like,
Yep.
here's something a bit more cuter
Yeah.
and a bit more softer. It's not as just joints in your
cuter.
face. It's
Yeah.
more paint in your face kind of vibe.
Yeah,
I
But
love
it
that.
is. And it's built a lot of community and like connection.
yeah,
and
like it's
stuff.
been going for like a year and a half, nearly 2 years
Yeah.
now. So, and like some people just come just for the event and have met each other, and it's just somewhere to go once a week where you go get high, do a bit of arts and crafts and stuff. It's really built the
Oh,
community.
love
And
it. Yeah, we've been doing that for a long time here in the States, and it's one of my favorite things because I was doing that kind of stuff before cannabis. We would go outside and smoke and then go inside and do it. And why can't we do it at the same time?
yeah,
Like,
exactly. You know what I
It
mean?
is, yeah.
It's
And that's what we're trying to do with a lot of things. It's literally what you said. It's for people that consume cannabis. A lot of the time is we smoke our joint and then we go into the event or the function.
but they're so
Whereas we want-
segmented. They're not
Yeah.
integrated.
no. And you're
there's
always
one
like, I'd be
where
so much happier now if I was,
had a
as you were
joint
saying
and
about the
go-
tourist stuff. Whenever you go on holidays, you're always like, this is great, but I wish I could have a joint while I'm doing this. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
wish I could be high while I'm enjoying this instead
So
of
that would be a fun
sneaking
part
off.
of this educational cartoon is like doing a series of things like, wow, Gaudí Sagrada Familia was amazing, but wouldn't it have been great if I could have hit my vape in that shit? Like everything, like wow, look at the Eiffel Tower's bomb. Wouldn't this have been wild if we had some weed with us? Like that. Everything's better with like Got Milk. Like you're eating the peanut butter. Have you seen all the Got Milk commercials? Are hysterical. If you're
I've
not
heard of it
familiar with
on
Got Milk,
movies and stuff.
yeah, please, if anyone's into advertising or into convincing marketing, if you're into that, look through the old on YouTube, the old Got Milk commercials, and they find the worst situation you've ever been in where you needed milk so badly, and they make it so funny. And that's the thing we're not seeing in cannabis, in some of these like public relations advocacy messaging. We're not seeing humor and education, which is called edutainment. This is why our Instagrams are getting taken down and getting banned. We're not being creative around how we're bringing this to life.
Yeah.
You know? And the other funny thing that no one's ever leaned in on is, we just kind of brushed over, but we didn't really give more detail. But when we're talking about going outside and smoking and coming back in, a lot of times, where is that? It's on the back steps where the dumpsters are, in the weirdly lit, overly highly lit fucking parking lot where it smells like shit. There's someone that's been pissing in the corner. There might be some like random people that have questionable mental capacity around you. And you're sitting in a nice dress.
You also have bears in California.
Yeah, it's rough out here. You're sitting in your nice jeans and your heels out on a curb in the parking lot on piss and broken
No, I've
bottles.
always smoked
To smoke my
indoors.
$45 joint. What the fuck is going on?
Literally.
I have a master's degree. I'm a homeowner. I'm a 41-year-old professional woman, and I'm sipping piss to do drugs.
Yeah, give me your interpretation of this plant.
What an insult to her.
Yeah.
What an insult to her. We sit down with tea and put it in fancy $100 teacups and tea sets. And the tea gets imported. And, the Boston Tea Party. Oh my God, they spilled the tea. It's like tea and weed are the literally same thing. The hops. Oh my God. Well, we like to put our stein in the fridge for 13 minutes before at 40 degrees and because it's hops and hops is God. And we treat God like God. But weed, we're like, put it in a Mylar bag and go smoke it out of a Bible paper and go smoke it out of a can with your butane lighter and suck it in as hard as you can, blow it out and go back to what you were doing, you freaking drug addict. No, but wine bottles, $14 just for the bottle and the cork.
Yeah, let it ferment, let it snip it, swirl it and spit it out. Yeah.
So over the lie.
To be on that level again. Cannabis needs to be up there. And more importantly, because it
needs to be at even a higher level treated than alcohol, you know what I mean? Because it's recreational, it has all the recreational plus the medical and all the other benefits to it. So it should be a level higher, not a level below alcohol treatment. Like,
because I remember even my mom and my dad actually speaking on a bottle of wine that they like to drink. And then my mom literally being like, oh, sure, it'll be a different strain each year. And I'm like, you're having the same conversation we have, just put cannabis in there. And I remember sitting back being like, what? Like it's so
that's why
so on the nose. It's very
that's why it
berry,
was a good
dry,
year
and
that year. It
gassy.
was
Yeah,
a good.
like in the nose notes. Like when I'm hearing like we learned how to be cannabis sommeliers, ganjiers from a sommelier background. So like when we're talking about tasting notes, when we're with our wine friends and they're doing their wine and we're doing our weed specifically together, we are having identical conversations about berry, gas, and oak and barrels. We're literally using the same exact language, and we're like, there's no difference. But they're being paid $100,000 a year to do this.
There's a poison, there's the medicine.
Yeah.
Insane. But this is our job. This is the work. And this is why these conversations, and then seeing people that are respectable, people that are business owners and that are entrepreneurs and that are community organizers and that are professional business people that are respected in the community, have been in the community a long time, having these conversations openly about their medical and personal and adult use. Like this is how it is. People need to see. If you can't see it, you can't be it. Right? That's what I say. If you don't have good models of it, then you're not invited to or welcomed to or motivated to be that thing.
To be the advocate.
Like that's like the main thing I wanted with this podcast was to normalize, not like we're not saying here going, look at the weed, look at this. We're like talking to people that have their own businesses, their own, like they're entrepreneurs, they've set up all these like edibles, growers, anything. But we sit here for hours talking about what they get done when they're high. We don't sit here and go, oh, how cool is this? I mean, and don't get me wrong, weed is great, and there's a lot of people.
Look at our topics today. Look at the geopolitical topics we've covered.
We want to break the stigma of you just get high and sit on the couch and watch cartoons all day. I want to show that people get high and get shit done. Are like motivated stoners, like, you know what I mean? Because
to be honest, I would love to sit around and be that. Whatever they think of that I'm doing when I'm being a stoner, I wish I could do those things. I'm like, I
wish I could rest.
I love that. I love your permission. I love your gentle nature. You're such a good like representative of the plant. Like I'm the more intense, loud version of the plant, and you're like the divine maternal nurture energy, which I have, both of us, I'm sure you can, we play in both, but I love that each of us that speak from the plant, we all like represent a different like color of her spectrum. Like a different version.
Like every different strain.
Every different cannabinoid.
Yeah.
We all have different effects.
New every day they're discovering we know more about deep sea and outer space than we do about this motherfucking planet.
But I always say it's crazy how much we learned and how much we didn't know while it was illegal. Most of the medical knowledge we have and most of everything we know was done while it was pretty much illegal throughout the whole world. So now that they've legalized it to some capacity in a lot of places, they're going to find out so much more. You know what I mean? Now lots of people can study it, not just the passionate people who wanted to find out. You know what I mean? Like if people didn't want to find out, they would just let it die. But people
fuck around and find out, baby.
Believed so much that there was more to it and kept testing it and trying stuff and documenting it and figuring all this
love, commitment, relationship with a plant, building a relationship.
How can the plant give all these people that much passion? You know
hey,
what I mean?
Look at that octopus movie. You see My Octopus Teacher?
No.
Did you see that movie or hear about the movie My Octopus Teacher?
No.
It is so weird. I don't even know if I would recommend watching. You probably should watch it just because it's a big cultural piece, at least here in the Western world. No, he's British or Australian. He's this dude that gets obsessed with this octopus, and it's a little inappropriate, to be honest. It's like a weird love story. It doesn't touch bestiality, but it flirts with it.
Okay.
But it's very sweet. But the thing is the point is everyone got really touched by it. It is like people stopped eating octopus after seeing it. It was a long scale filming of a man's relationship with an octopus, and he would go and dive and meet this octopus and see her over a long period of time, and it was very emotional for people. Like I cried, you cried multiple times. Like you're not gonna not cry. Like it makes you. It's overwhelming how much we separate ourselves from the animal world. And then when you see like monkeys and stuff, you get this feeling like, oh my God, I compartmentalize you into this other species. And then you get this whiff that there is no difference between us. And it almost It almost is scary because it's destabilizing a hierarchy that we need to continue eating meat and keeping them in zoos and having them riding on top of them and using them for power. Like, we need to keep them in that category to continue testing things on them. Like, we do subjugate animals, and it's this weird guilt, but this beauty of just like, wow, we have so much in common. And it's like, it's very overwhelming. I'm probably going a little too deeper than I need to in this. The point is that it had a cult following because people just fell in love with this octopus and the relationship that the man built with the octopus. They would meet each other and greet each other. And all these animal videos we watch on Instagram, it's always about a weird lemur with a little boy or something. And you're like, this human animal thing that we are obsessed with.
Yeah.
Why are we not doing that with plants? That's my point. Is like, where's the story of a man going back and visiting his weed plant every day and the issues with the bugs and she fell over one day. And someone stole her at the very end and you're crying and it's this plant. You watch 2 hours with this plant and you're crying that someone cut down the plant. Where's that story? I haven't seen that story. The closest I've seen, and I will say you guys got to catch it on 420, Frenchie Cannoli's film Frenchie Dreams of Hash by Jake Remington and his wife Kimberly Cannoli is going to be available for YouTube, watching on YouTube finally after multiple years of it only being in-person screenings. You're going to be on YouTube. Look into Frenchie Dreams of Hash, I believe is the name of it. Jake Remington. I'm not sure. FrenchieCannoli.com. Probably you can find more information about it. But we've been waiting to be able to share this with the world because we've only done screening. I mean, highly recommend if you can see a screening of this film. It is unbelievable cinematography that just goes into like deep macro trichomes. And it's the reason why it's a cool documentary is it shows before Prop 215 turned into 64 till after. It was like he filmed a few years before and a few years after. So it's actually a documentary that really beautifully kind of encapsulates what happened in California pre and post regulation. If any of your viewers were kind of geeking out and interested in, because a lot of where you guys are at in Europe is where we were at the time of this film or a little bit even before. So it's actually very useful and authentic, you know? Really, seriously, not from an entertainment perspective, from a strategic perspective. You got to see how it works. But
what's it called again?
Hash maker, Frenchie Dreams of Hashish, I believe. And his and
it will be on YouTube. Just it will drop on 420.
Frenchie Cannoli is a famous hash maker that he's a teacher and a researcher on the history of cannabis and concentrates in human society. And he's like got an unbelievable legacy. He just passed away. He's one of my good friends. He died a couple of years ago from a bad medical procedure that went bad, and he died. Unfortunately, he was based in California but traveled in India and all over the world for a really long time. This is Frenchie Cannoli. So it's funny that this is the first one that came up because look, if you guys can see, I don't know if you can see on my I'm in my office. It's kind of messy, but because I'm doing renovations. But do you see my just for scale? That's my guy, Frenchie Cannoli, 100% ooh la la, and he would scream at you if you ever called anything hash that wasn't like ice water hash or like charas. He's okay with calling something maybe hash rosin if it was hash that was made into rosin, but he would go cuckoo when people.
What do you know,
he does the hash hookah with the quasar. Have you ever seen the quasar hookah? That you put a big ball of hash and it melts. He was the main to launch that and make that famous with them. So the Frenchie Cannoli movie documentary is called Frenchie Dreams of Hashish. Oh man, it's the best. And the score behind it, the original music is phenomenal, and it has like all these like really fun famous people on it, like Casey from Happy Day Farms, who's one of the main activists that helped legalize cannabis in the state, and like has a regular fruit and flower farm and a cannabis farm, and he's just a prolific thought leader. And then there's also Swami. If you guys know Swami, do you guys know Swami and Nikki from Swami Select? Super funny old Hindu, like they're a couple that practices Hinduism. They lived in India for a long time. They grow amazing weed, and they're just like this beloved couple. And there's a lot of interesting scenes where you see what their farms look like, and then you see after regulation, and you hear all the stories of how taxing, controlling, and over-regulation just killed all of them. The way that they were zoned and the lack of, like, you couldn't have trimmers anymore. Like, it devastated, like, $1 trillion economy. It was the worst thing that's ever happened. Probably I've lived through a lot of really intense things in my almost 41 years on this planet. And I have to say that the death of the original cannabis industry in Northern California is probably one of the most emotionally and just for humanity's like legacy and what was lost, like the seeds, the genetics, the people, the suicides, the violence, the incarceration is probably one of the most devastating things I've ever seen happen to any community. Like other than death and genocide, other than actual murder, like as far as like economic, cultural, even in the abortion thing. I see more people's lives completely destroyed and devastated by what's happened with the drug war than I even have removal of women's access to healthcare. And I'm a major abortion rights activist. I could say that just in my experience, just my world, you know, like the amount of people whose lives have been derailed and they will never come back from it financially, emotionally, and like actual risking life and limb and still incarcerated, having their dog shot in front of them, separated from their children. Like, to me, that's equally at the same level as bodily sovereignty. They're all arguments for bodily sovereignty. What I put in my body, what I take out of my body, whether it's weed or a baby, it's the same shit. You know,
your choice.
You know,
I know and especially for a plant. Like when all of it's all over just this one thing, a plant.
But it's never just about a plant. It's because they want to own our relationship with our mother. They want to own our own relationship with our own mother. And they can't. That's the joke's on them, right? Because we're women. I was talking to my friend Mara Gordon, who is way deeper into the Kabbalah and into Jewish mysticism from a very feminist perspective. And she was explaining to me why a lot of like monotheistic religions have men who, you know, both Muslims and Jews, and a lot of people cover their heads. And it's just the men usually, because men need something to tell them that there's something that they're not like the king, so that there's always something above them. But women always, and same thing with prayer, like men have to do 3 prayers a day, like both Muslim and Jewish men, they have to do all these prayers, and women aren't required. And the narrative is like they're not worthy of it or whatever, but the real reason is because we always have a connection to the divine. Like we're not forced to like reconnect with the creator, because we are the creator. And I was just like, it was insane. I was like,
beautiful perspective.
And like the way that women are shrouded, you know, it's not because there's something wrong with us. It's because men just can't handle themselves, and we're too beautiful, and we will distract them from the word of God if we're in the synagogue or in the church or in the mosque at the same time as the men, you know. And it's just like, it just reframes it as like the responsibilities on them, instead of it being like there's something wrong with us, you know. I don't know. It's been cracking me up because the woman is nature. Nature is the plant is female. I mean, there is no way to. There's so many
nature for a reason.
Yeah.
No, massively. And a lot of, I think the blame and the pressure has been put on women for a lot of things.
Yeah, but we put it on ourselves.
Whether we birth anything, it's all of that. There's a lot of pressures, and definitely we put it on ourselves. And I think it's as well by starting new paths, and like we always say, be it with like our events or what we're doing in life, there's no blueprint. I don't have anyone to fully look for. I'm like, how do we do this? Because everything all of us are doing, especially in the cannabis industry, there's no blueprint for it. So we have to figure it out and create some bases ourselves. It's kind of like not being afraid to go against them societal pressures, be it where not being afraid to speak on cannabis, or not being afraid to go a different path than we're taught to as women. Be it like hence marriage, kids, it's changing them kind of diversities and not being afraid and to speak on it. More so, not just to speak on it, but to make other people feel comfortable to do so too. It's no point just like starting your own band and just for yourself. It's to speak on it so you can build that community.
Love
confidence in others.
Yeah. Like
that's a great soundbite. You guys should use that in the promo. That was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful.
No, we really are. We're trying to create a safe space. Like, I think for most owners, you come from where you're not allowed to smoke, where you're, as you say, hiding in the back of a parking lot. It's trying to break that stigma and be like, hey, it's okay. It's safe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're allowed to do this, and you're with people that do too. You know what I mean? It's to break that and just give people, that ease. We need it.
Yeah,
we
no,
really
for
do.
sure.
That's why the work
deserve ease. That is one thing we didn't deserve is ease.
Yeah, no, that's it.
You great like breath work. Do you ever do like breath work or sound bath healing or like coaching stuff?
No. I need a bit of it myself.
It'd be fabulous. You have a very grounded, confident, gentle, non-imposing, neutral, like good bedside. Like you have very like nurse energy in like a very good way. Seriously, you should look into that. These like online global like breath work and guided meditation things, and like start a whole community, just like everyone getting high together from around the world. You should join our we have a group called Empower Her Society. It's for women only, but we're like 1,000 women from all around the world. We have meetups every time we're anywhere. Like they're always doing more stuff in Europe, but like I did meet up with them for the Spannabis stuff, but they're anywhere where there's a European cannabis thing. They're mainly based in Europe, but it's a lot of I would say at least half are American women or from the United States. So even like we do calls every once in a while where someone will do like a little guided meditation or something like that. You should totally hop on and do that. I feel like because everyone loves an Irish accent or like accents. Like, like we love the accent.
I never even thought
you've done your cacao.
Yeah, cacao was my main like plant medicine.
Beautiful.
Like, yeah, cacao and cannabis. They both kind of guided me on my journey together. And because they're so different, like they don't like cacao's a lot more softer, but also kick up the arse as well. Whereas cannabis is very much like, I think as well with the whiteys, like I'm very much like I smoke recreational, but I do have that plant medicine side. And I see that cannabis is that. There's the medicinal on like a physical level, but there's the medicinal on an energetic level and also on your mindset and how you can like process stuff. Like I find sometimes if you smoke like sativa and it's that more head racy thing, I think it's like the way some plant medicines, like a mushroom, it brings it to the surface. I think it's the same with cannabis. You know what I mean? Like if it is the indica is bringing you more and putting you to bed, it's the same with the sativa. It's actually bringing the thoughts up that you need to go through. So that's why it's not always good to smoke it in a social setting because it can be a bit too overwhelming and you're not meant to go into your thoughts when you're sitting at a table with a load of people. You know what I mean?
Have you written this down though? Like what you're talking about is literally like a training session, like an intentionality training session. I'm telling you, you should like write this is a curriculum for teaching people who work at dispensaries and smoke shops and social clubs and coffee shops how to manage that community responsibly. We have to manage them responsibly. This is not a drugstore like a CV. I don't know what you guys would call them out, but this is not like a grocery store where it's just like, yeah, we sell bread. Like I'm not managing that relationship. Like, go grab the bread. This is not that. You're not selling bread. You're selling like salvation.
Get the education with it.
Yeah, or maybe you're not selling the cannabis, but you're selling all the accoutrements in there, but you're still responsible for the conversation because you're
to educate them.
I think this is why the regulators are so able to do what they're doing in Barcelona and kick us out. That's why Spannabis left, by the way. Don't let anyone tell you they won't rent us a bigger space, and they're demolishing the space we were in. So anyone tries to tell you they're trying to go to Bilbao for any other reason, Barcelona is very cannabis unfriendly. Their new administration is very, very far right and very conservative. Okay, that's what's been happening for 10 years, and everyone knows it. They've been being shaken down by the government there. It's horrible what they've been going through. They absolutely did not deserve what they just got in the final hour of 10 years of this fight. They just really got it. Pretty much what happened in California. What happened in Spain happened in California, and it is nauseating to see good people and good cannabis and beautiful culture getting just smashed by ignorant baby boomer fear-mongering, save the children, like for the Catholic Church, but really have a mistress, kind of a vibe. Like, no, he's not the one to be throwing throwing stones at glass houses. But anyway, what I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
Cannabis.
Spain that people don't want, that it's still illegal, that they don't want us there. But what were we talking about before?
Fairy being an educator,
educating the clubs, and so this is why. So what's happening right now is like this is why
we had that trophy.
To have something like to hedge against the haters and the regulators that didn't come in and be like, well, I don't see responsible education happening here. So you're giving out active. So if they come in and they're like, they're warned at the front about X, Y, and Z, they come in and the bud tender warns them about X, Y, and Z. They sit down and someone brings them water and reminds them about X, Y, and Z. They're like, oh my God, this is a curated, like clinical, but not sterile space. There's a SOP being followed here. There is a feeling that I
know what they're doing.
You know,
you're in safe hands.
And you want to do that before they start coming in, not because they're coming in. You want to do that so that your people are already trained authentically to do it. And you already have a culture of it, so that when they come in, it's authentic.
It's just common to them. It's just normal.
Legit, second nature. There is another like a really amazing woman, Tropi Helga. She goes
Helga is the best. Shout out Helga from Costa Rica.
We had her on this a few weeks ago on GramFaded. We had her on. She's a legend.
She's doing amazing work with that, like bringing a lot more education to the bud tenders and to the actual social stuff from the top level down.
She's also looking for sponsors right now. So if this is something that you are passionate about and you believe in it or you're curious about it, hit up. I'm forgetting what it's called. The bud tenders training guy.
I think so.
I'll put a link. I'll put a link in the description.
Follow Tropi Helga.
Tropi Helga, we had her on a few weeks ago. Yeah, she's a legend. We met her last year at the Puffco event over here. No, she's doing some great stuff.
She
really, and it is that it's like if the bud tenders know, if the managers know, the whole way down, people just speak with confidence. Yes, legend.
Global Global bee tender is
Global bee tender.
And you can find out more on tropicalglass.com. But she's looking for sponsors right now. And this is also, I brought up the Cannabis Trail earlier. This was part of the early concept that Brian Applegarth, the head of the Cannabis Travel Association here, the whole point was to have a bud tender education course that they could pass and guess what was in it? Education on Brownie Mary and Dennis Perone and like know your history.
Educated from the beginning.
I don't want you representing. I'm not going to pay you $20 an hour to sit here and talk to people about stuff and to manage all these brands that have everything going on. And I don't know that you don't have a basic understanding of what sativa, indica, and hybrid is, or even more so why those three words don't even make sense. And if you are really using them without knowing that they're silly and they've actually switched over time, like you need to know even the deeper level that they're still misnomers, that when we're using those are actually just dog whistles to a cannabinoid and terpene matched profile, which is a whole another level. But yes, there's a lot of idiots out there calling themselves experts because they watch Wiz Khalifa music videos and they think that they're because they've sold down a couple ounces into some eighths and they think that they're a big baller, you know?
That's it.
Their grill and their rap video. Lame. And there are a lot of the bud tenders. They just think that they're cool because they roll blunts. And like, that's how it is in the Bay Area in California. So many of them are passionate about it, but there are a few of them that really like, if my mom was coming home from a cancer diagnosis and a hospital stay and she wants to say, my vagina's drying up because I'm old and I'm about to go through chemo. What do I need? And they're like, wait, you're asking me medical questions. You're a 70-year-old woman. I'm an 18-year-old kid, 21-year-old kid. I'm like, I need a pharmaceutically trained, paid, exposed and confidence of a pharmacist.
Someone who can give you advice.
Not treating them or paying them. And that ghetto ass rapper kid, actually, if you gave them a good pay and good training, they'd be a fabulous pharmacist. Because a lot of my pharmacists come from the hood, actually. My pharmacists here in Kaiser and San Leandro, they're all hood kids with neck tats, and they're amazing pharmacists. Like, we don't respect people that naturally come to things. They already came to the plant. Just because you see them as coming from an immigrant community or a Black or brown community or a lower income community, they're absolutely just as well prepared as anyone else to become an expert or an MBA or the quality that the capitalist thinks about. It's like they're 100, and they're even more so because they came to it naturally. They already loved the plant.
That's you just need to be passionate. You don't need to be a fucking brain
surgeon. People are already in it a step forward.
You just need to want to know, want to learn, and want to educate people. That's it.
Not because they read a Time magazine article saying, "Oh, the stocks are big and you can make money," and everyone all the green
put a fancy pack on it, you can charge extra. No, I don't like this whole cashing in on cannabis. There's still so much to do, and I think people need to be just trying to normalize it. You know what I mean? Make it the norm and make it part of everyday life for everyone, and that's all everyone should be fighting for. You know what I mean? That
Amen.
everyone should be legally able to access it, grow it, trade it, whatever. You know what I mean? Just use it, have it. You know what I mean? It's
Amen.
yeah.
No, it
Bless
does.
you
It
guys.
deserves that freedom.
Yeah.
Big time. And to be able to walk in with that confidence of, like,
I'm not a criminal.
yeah, I'm not a criminal, and I can go and get my medicine and be advised properly.
And get something that I know is grown right and not fucking full of God knows what, or just, you know what I mean? It's no, it needs to be, and we are getting there. Like if we had this conversation 10, 15 years ago, we were talking about a whole different world of the cannabis scene, you know what I mean? So it has changed in 10, 15 years, and in another 10 years, we always say the 5-year thing. So this might actually be the 5 years where shit changes, and you know what I mean? We can only hope and keep fighting for it as long as we can.
It's so funny. I've been saying that too. Like, oh, we've been saying 7 to 10 years for the last 7 to 10 years.
Yeah, that's it.
We can hope.
And that's it. So hopefully this is the 7 to 10 or the 5 or whatever you've been given it. Hopefully these.
I am just in my phase of delusional optimism because the social contract has been broken, and we are our world is being run by like literal psychopaths.
Yeah.
So I'm in the mode of just like wild radical acceptance and optimism, where I do believe that this is actually the dying gasp of the patriarchy and of extractive capitalism. I do believe that this is the darkest before the dawn, that there is going to be a desperate grasping for straws here, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing what it looks like when people know that they're at a time that women can own our own things, buy our own things, have our own things, be our own things, and we are not things anymore. That we don't, that men need to come at us in a loving, genuine respect, like you. Like, I appreciate, you having women flanking you as experts right now. Like, this is what the revolution looks like. It's like all the feminism is asking for is like to stop giving us shit and pay us to say. It's really simple. We love men. We're not a male hating. Most feminists I know are men. I know more male feminists in my life sometimes than women feminists, because they're like, women doing well and being free to be who they are benefits me. Duh. I'm not trying to control y'all. When you guys get what you need, you're fab. You are literally overflowing and gushing with abundance when you're given what you need. Why would I not benefit from that? Hello. That's the kind of energy that I'm seeing around me. I'm seeing people understanding the power of plants, the power of internal knowledge. This concept that like the age of Aquarius is here, from the age of Pisces. The age of Pisces ending really represents the end of, like, I believe. Pisces was the fish. It was the concept of Jesus Christ, this concept that we believe something outside of ourselves, a priest, a teacher, a parent. And the age of Aquarius is the water bearer. It's the bringer of ideas. And the concept of Aquarius is I know. It's a deep inner knowing and an intrinsic
trusting in yourself.
Yeah. So like this is why people are into psychedelics right now. This is why psychedelics are seeing a huge resurgence and a huge interest, because we are tired. We know that everything's been a lie. Like the veil has been removed. We already know that aliens, the whole aliens have been existing. That quietly got announced that, yeah, you guys are right. There were aliens. We were hiding it the whole time, and everyone just acted like that was okay. Like nothing anymore. Like you guys have lied about everything.
We lied about everything. You just don't even know. You're just
the jig's
numb.
up.
You're numb to it all, and everything is just.
And now, but now we do. Now we do know. And this is the problem: is now we don't believe anything, even real information. We're not.
Yeah, that's it. Especially with AI now, you don't know what you can believe, who's talking, who's saying it. So yeah, I ignore the outside world as much as I can. You know what I mean? If I can't have a good conversation with it or smoke with it, I don't care about it. You know what I mean?
If I can't have a good conversation or smoke with it, if I use that as my vetting, can I use that as my
yeah, feel free.
Well, I always say if it's not safe for kids, children, children, animals, or elderly people, it's not for me. Like to your point, the puff and pay that you could bring a grandma to.
Yeah.
Like you can't bring and when I say children, I mean like a little one that's toddling around and doesn't know drugs and the cuss words or whatever. Like a little one, a really old one, and an animal. If it's energy, smoke being in the room, forget that element. Just like the conversations, the people, no one's drunk. It's not super loud or late at night. Like it just keeps it wholesome.
That's why I left Ireland.
My dog and my nephew and my mom, go fuck yourself. I don't need to be, maybe like I said, the instance for 4 a.m. for a couple hours. You can do. I mean, that's not meant to be for them. The instance was never meant to be wholesome. So you can compartmentalize your unwholesome thing within the greater you know, at least from my perspective as a professional. Like, I want to be, this is still my profession. This is still my business. Like, I still believe in what I'm doing from a real, you know, perspective. So when I want to show my mom what my workplace is like, or my dad wants to see what my workplace is like, I don't want him to see something that looks like a trap house. I want him to see something that looks like arts and crafts day with someone's, you know, service dog is there and someone, you know, several, you know, elders are there. That seem like, okay, this is something, you know, I was just on Univision, which is like a Spanish speaking television, and they've had me on twice. And it's really a lot of people that watch it are older Spanish speaking, a lot of Mexican and Salvadoran moms and grandmas are watching it. And they're curious about psilocybin. They're curious about seeing what all these kids are doing when they're hearing that their kids are doing all these drugs and they're overwhelmed. They don't understand. There's a television station that's literally doing an expose on this. I'm speaking in Spanish, educating them about microdosing for depression and all these uses. Like that's the revolution, is talking
that
to
must
the
be blowing their mind though. Yeah, they're hearing that go, what? You can't talk about this on TV, you know what I mean?
Well, the funniest thing is if you look at the progenitor of the magic mushroom, it was Maria Sabina, who was a Mexican grandma.
Yeah.
And Brownie Mary is an Italian grandma. These are not trap life cookies branded carved things. These are indigenous shamanic
made with love.
That kept on the plant medicine, kept on herbal medicine, all of these things. They kept them alive. Like they always say, like the grandmother's tales. Them little like things that you can take that will make you feel better. They're not tales, they're things that should be kept alive. They should be things that should be kept in everyone's cupboards. Like not everyone needs cannabis, but even as you're saying, mushrooms, everything. We all need bits of something. And there's a wide variety of plant medicines out there that we've lost a lot of, that we've lost touch with, but I do see a big influx coming back. Like I'm seeing even the people that were very far from any form of hippie woo-woo or plant medicine or any of that are starting to take a leap. Be it in the mainstream shops or any of that kind of product, they're still opening their eyes to them kind of ways. I think they're understanding that the products and what we've been consuming and putting in our body and on our bodies, be it our hair products, anything, isn't good anymore. And you're seeing a lot more people going back to like a more natural route, even a more like Eastern approach. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
especially in America, the stuff you have in your products and your food and everything it's not fit for human consumption or human use. Or
the parabens, the phthalates, the surfactants, the microplastics, the hormone disruptors, the fragrances. It's funny that you're saying that because my hair products are actually from this woman in South Africa. She's Indian but African. She has an Ayurvedic hairline that's it's cannabis infused and all Ayurvedic herbs. And people are always like, you kind of smell like weird. You kind of smell like curry. Like it's a little bit like intense. But I do use like this Ayurvedic hairline that's like natural cannabis. And people are like, some people really like it. But my dad the other day was like, you smell like leftovers. I'm like, I know it's a little weird, but I like it.
No, but it's proper. It's why they use
good for you.
all
Coriander and cardamom.
Yeah, no, they keep it strong. And it's why you see Indian women with long, luscious, thick hair and beautiful skin. Even the elderly women, they still have strong, like bouncy skin. Whereas over our side of the woods, it's not so much. You know what I mean?
All the makeup you put on and then all the stuff you take it off with and everything else in between.
It just goes back to like literacy building and relationship building. It's like, why can I, as like a hippie Berkeley girl, go and like read the back of a granola bag and be like, oh, there's a cute story about the grandma and her recipe, and I'll pay $12 for this like 3 ounce, like 1 ounce of granola because it's cute and it has like organic raspberries in it or whatever, like organic cranberries. I'm like, okay. But then people walk in the store and they're just like, the pink bag.
Yeah.
The nighttime bag of weed. But like, they're not like looking at the ingredients. They're not looking at who grew it. How can my produce was grown? I either go to the farmer's market or I have a community supported agriculture that I sign up for online and gets delivered from my local farms in a box at my door. I have to go pick it up at a library. Like I know the name of the farm. I've met that farmer. I know exactly where they're from. I've been to that farm. Like I am 100% literate and so comfortable dissecting the elements of you know, is it single source? Like even my coconut water, my coffee, is it single source? Is it fair trade? Like I do that with everything. But then I'm going to go in and just grab a vape. I don't know who the vape manufacturer is, the manufacturer of the vape cartridge. I have no idea about the studies around those batteries and the off-gassing of the heavy metals and how that works with cheap shit. I don't know about the microplastics, and when something says it's an all ceramic card, I don't know that if they're making it in a really bad factory, that the micro dust and the manufacturing dust from the ceramic manufacturing, that if it's not in a clean room or it's not properly managed in the air, it falls back into the cartridge, and now you're vaping ceramic, which has what, heavy metals and lead and cadmium and things in it that literally
never even thought of any of this.
Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't even know to ask those. Like, even for most people right now, they're like,
giving over here. Like,
well, could you imagine if you asked one of them bud tenders? They'd be like, "What?"
Yeah, no, yeah,
they don't even know.
Not at all.
Which is
goes back to the need for
you have to go a long way up the chain before you find someone that has the answers to that stuff.
I can't even imagine.
A long way up. I doubt most people have asked them questions when they're
well, anyway, if anyone ever has questions, you can keep me on speed dial. I'll hit me up anytime. If you guys have needs, I got you.
For asking these questions.
Yeah, no, for sure. Even putting it out there for people to ask the same question and think of this. And
I'm definitely a bud tender. I'm always going to be a bud tender. Doesn't matter what I'm doing now. Once a bud tender, always a bud tender.
Yeah.
Done it once, you could have always done it.
That's it.
You don't need a counter in front of you. You don't even need to be the person giving the flower. It's more, as you said before, it's the guiding, the
educational process, the whole be an advocate for cannabis at all times. Like always be trying to make it look good and always fighting its fight and defending it against the ignorant and the fucking, you know what I mean? That's all we can do is keep trying to normalize it and educate people and tell them it's not the stigma that it was. It's not the crazy, you know what I mean? So
and so what is your main thing? Your like mushrooms and cannabis. They're your main advocacy leads.
Yes. So right now I'm acting as the director of Mycology for Champs Trade Show. We are one of the largest, if not, they say the largest in the world. I try not to ever say that because it feels weird, but they pretty much, we're the biggest business to business trade show for counterculture. So that includes, you know, smoke shops, corner stores, convenience stores, gas stations. So you think of us kind of like a series of a bunch of smaller trade shows within a bigger trade show. So you've got like the glass and the bongs, you've got the adult section, you've got the kratom kava and Amanita muscaria and some of the, you know, the analog psychoactives. You got the e-cigarette and some of just the accoutrements, just like, you know, jewelry and fun, you know, tchotchkes, we call them. And then the mycology department, which is kind of the pickaxes and shovels, which is more of like the spores, the spore bags, it's maybe a testing lab, things like that, where it's a little bit more in the actual physical mycological realm to help people set up with their own, because it's for it's for buyers. So it's the owners of these shops come through, they try to see what they're going to sell in their shop. So my job is to try to build out the mycology department so people can understand the benefit of having grow your own mushroom kits in their
nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Because it's legal to have psilocybin if it's like less than 0%, but if it's already inoculated, if it's not been inoculated, it's not technically active. So it's a safe area.
Okay.
Send it, ship it, travel with it. And then some of the other gummies and things like that, they have a non-detectable amount, or they have another substance in them that mimics the effect of it. So they're able to. Yeah, this is the problem with prohibition is people have to make analogs until we can have the real thing. So we have a little work. But if anyone, we have 6 shows around the country. 2 are in Vegas. One is in New Jersey. One's in Texas. One's in Florida. And there's another one in Chicago, Illinois. We have a lot of, it's been since 1999. So we have a lot of vendors that you would absolutely know from the cannabis industry. It also, I forgot cannabis is also there, but the hemp derived cannabinoids. So these are the folks that are using hemp, and creating, derivatives of the minor cannabinoids that are psychoactive, like Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, Delta 11, some other, other compounds that, are essentially act on the brain and the endocannabinoid system the same way. Many argue, for all intents and purposes, the brain, for the most part, perceives them similarly. So they are able to create the psychoactive high. So they say that we de facto decriminalize cannabis in the United States because you can technically have hemp-derived psychoactive cannabinoids for anyone over, I believe it's 18, or maybe 21. It actually might be. It might be the same because I think it's 18 for tobacco, and I actually need to look up on the laws because it changes so much here. But like, I think it's 18 for tobacco and 21 for alcohol and cannabis because of
usually the only country in the world that does that as well.
Because we can't handle intoxication. That's
Don't get me wrong. I'm Irish. I was drinking since I'm 12. I was bored of drinking by the time I was 21. The time I turned 21, I was done with drinking. I'd had enough of it by that stage. You know what I mean? So it's
wow. Yeah, here people get started then. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
obviously there's a lot of pre-age drinking. I had my first drink at age 10 or 11, and there was a lot of people drinking in high school and college before they were legally able to.
Yeah.
But that's about parenting and culture, and that's the problem with the Irish culture is there's a romanticization around alcohol, and it's toxic. Really it's hard. Same thing with Mexican culture. But the thing is we can have this love for these, like, beer is such a beautiful brew, and like wines are such a magical thing. Like, it's crazy that we can't have nice things just because we overindulge. It's like the actual substances are so lovely and so cool and so beautiful.
Here you see people just have one beer and have a nice time on a bench. Right? In Ireland, that turns into a party on the street corner, and you know what I mean. It's especially as Irish people, we have to take it to an abundance. Like, we have to abuse it every time. Like, it's
the other thing is because then it becomes part of your shtick, right? It's like, oh well, you got to be the fun Irish guy, and everyone says me under the thing, so now you got to live up to the thing about being able to anyone under the thing, fighting Irish. Like, that's not fun.
That's another stigma I'm happy to break. You know what I mean? I'm an Irishman. Don't get me wrong. As I said, I drank from 12 to 20 odd, but then I got bored of it. It felt like a young person. It felt like an immature drug.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Falling around. And,
love you for that.
You do as an adult, and I'm not the most mature of people, but drunk people it's like babysitting. You know what I mean?
You don't have to tell me. The last time I got drunk was I was in 7th grade, and I've been watching people make asses out of themselves for 40 years.
I've got a very high tolerance for alcohol and weed and everything, really. But so I would spend a lot of money, drink a lot, be the most sober, and then look after everyone else who's getting into fights, and
waste your time with them, because what they don't realize is when you tell them a 20-minute story about your life, it's for nothing. They don't remember that about you. So you're building
a relationship with you. Where they start getting drunk, I'd leave, because now
high five, love you.
There's no new, you know what I mean? And then eventually I got to the point, it's like, why am I even going out to begin with? You know what I mean? Like, it's I
never thought I'd be having this conversation with an Irishman. This is the best. I love this. Like, there are so many people that come from drinking cultures. I have so many sober German friends and so many Mexican friends that are like, or Spaniards that are like, It's like every conversation is want to grab a drink. Even when people ask you on a date,
same conversation.
What's the number one pickup line? Can I buy you a drink?
Oh,
fuck. Anyway,
it's society is kind of culturalized.
Like, we have football teams with alcohol companies across it. Like, as a kid, I had alcohol companies rode across my stomach.
Oh, wait, what about the race cars? What about the race cars with the alcohol? You're literally an automotive.
Yeah, promoting driving and alcohol at the same time. Like,
with Ciroc vodka.
Yeah. Like, imagine that. Imagine some cannabis brand across your t-shirt or something running around the pitch. It probably makes more sense than alcohol.
They would crucify you if you even said it in a boardroom as an iterative idea. You'd get canned for it as a joke. No,
I get this in. This is my brand.
I know. I was actually going to ask you about it.
So this is 21 by 20, which equals 420.
Cute, love that.
So it's like a subtle stoner brand. So for the last year or two, we've given them away to guests on the podcast. And then we start giving them away to people who comment under the videos. But on 420, all going well, I'm hoping to drop a website, and there will be a limited 420 beanies and 420 snapbacks on the website on 420. So, and then we're doing a session in Prix de Me, Prix de Me, the big coffee shop at Central Station. It's like the biggest one. It's 3 floors. But we're doing a session there on 420 then at 420. So yeah, anyone wearing 21 by 20 will get extra gifts. So
No
if you're in
way.
Amsterdam, come along. Everyone.
So do you guys know Jack Gaiman?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's my Amsterdam connection. I'm trying to think of other people that I know in Amsterdam other than obviously
I've
me.
met him a few times. I've said to him to come on the podcast. Eventually, hopefully, I'm going to get him on. But
Jack, don't be too cool for school, man. These guys are awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Jack's
No, we'll get him on. I've seen him at a good few sessions. He actually reached out to us first, just saying, like, I hadn't met him because I see what you guys are doing. I just want to say I appreciate it and stuff. So he is for that. I respect him a lot. Like, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he
So
is.
yeah, no. So that's it. Like, we're happy to build and grow the community as much as we can. Like, you know what I mean. So I don't know who. I don't know if it was either through Mila or through, do you know Mara?
Yeah, I love Mara. She's
It
a
might have
good
been Mara to put me
just
on
don't
to
hug her.
you. Yeah. That's I've learned that. Yeah, don't hug her. I'd get up and I was like, whoa. Like, okay, yeah.
She's a
Great.
good lady.
She's a legend. She's nuts. She comes to all our sessions as well, even on the build up to Spanibus. She was doing a tolerance break.
Yep, she does it every year.
She came to two. So we do an event every month. We've started it called our group collectively is called the High Cunts, the THC. So our event is the first Tuesday of every month. We have the See You Next Tuesday session. So see you next Tuesday session, the cunts. So yeah, the last two sessions, Mara showed up, Mila showed up. So yeah, like we just get everyone in the community together.
I'm obsessed with this. This might be worth me just coming out to. I haven't. So just I have to say it. I haven't been to Amsterdam since I was 15 years old.
What?
Wow.
I have not been to
I
Amsterdam.
spoke to you before Cannabis last year. I think I reached out because we didn't have this online version. I reached out saying, "Will you be coming to Amsterdam?" You're like, "No, I'm just going to Cannabis." I'm like, "Fuck." And then this year, I thought of it again. I'm like, I was like, "Oh, now we can get her on the online version." I'll reach out again, and you were going to Cannabis again. But it was definitely before Cannabis. It was over a year ago when I first reached out saying, "We'll get you on if you're in Amsterdam." You're like, "Nope, don't come to Amsterdam." I was like, "Oh, okay."
We'll have to get you over
Yeah.
soon.
Remember that now. Isn't
I
Captain
even said it to you. I said, I want to give you a hat. That's why I wanted to have you in the studio. You're like, I don't wear hats. I was like, okay, no problem.
I'll rock the hat. I love the merch.
Yeah. I'll send you. Do you want a beanie or a snapback? I'll send you one over.
Good question. What's the beanie like? Just typical beanie?
Just typical beanie, yeah.
They are cozy.
Yeah.
Probably the beanie. because it gets cold here in NorCal.
Yeah. We had a girl on. She's in. Did you be in Colorado at all?
A little bit. I'm actually going to be there twice this year for the Telluride Mushroom Festival in Telluride, Colorado, and also in Denver for the MAPS Psychedelic Symposium conference in June. It actually that's part of the reason why I gave you a maybe about. So the symposium is a 5-day event in Denver, and then Mary Jane is 4 days, and they cross like this. They have like 3 days of this, and then I'd have to like travel, like miss 2 days to catch the last 2 days of Mary Jane. That's why I'm like,
no.
And I've missed that symposium the last 2 years because of Mary Jane's or because of other things. Like, so it'll be the first time in 3 years that they've been doing it. And now I'm kind of technically not really in the cannabis space so formally anymore. I'm more trying to move into the psychedelic and mycology space and just try to, I want to expand my career a little bit. I as far as like cannabis culture is concerned, there's just like I don't know, you can kind of grow out of the space here. Like I've just done everything. I've worked from seeds to cultivation to testing labs to distro to
it's because you always want something new. You can't just keep doing the same thing. You're always gonna.
And I got kind of burnt out from the corporate life, like being an executive at a publicly traded company on NASDAQ, $1 billion Chinese manufacturer. I need a little bit of a break. 5 years, good run. I'm grateful to iSpire. Have nothing but the best things to say about them and the team. Fabulous idea in human beings, but just went towards, age gating technology. And that just makes more sense for nicotine than cannabis. So they're just kind of focusing more of their energy in that direction. And they gave me a wonderful send off and a pathway. They took really good care of me on the way out and are like, whatever you need, let us know and take the time that you need. And, was really genuine and generous and respected the fact that I literally was the first employee there, the first W-2 employee, longest standing employee there, and built it for 5 years from scratch, from nothing. And they acknowledged that. And same thing happened at Jetty Extracts when the vape gate hit, when the whole EVALI lung crisis hit and all the vape companies were scared they were going to go under because our sales went down. They let everyone off. And same thing, I was the first employee at Jetty Extracts. We're still a really famous cartridge brand, and they gave me equity of the company after I left, and Canopy ended up buying it, and I got a few grand in my pocket. And that's you don't hear about that in cannabis at all. People don't get paid for their equity, and they sure don't get it after getting laid off. So
to be looked after.
I'm very lucky with good people that understood that, and it's great because both of my email addresses still work, and both of my old, like, you can hit me at Luna at Get Ispire or Luna Jetty Extracts right now, and they both come through to me. I still obviously promote both of them. Like, I have nothing but good things to say. It makes sense when you take care of people. The positivity continues.
You've helped them grow. You send them on.
Jetty, like, would you work with Jetty? It's like, or would you work with? I give great. I have nothing but great things to say about it. I think that that's a cultural thing that more people in cannabis need to think about. We burn a lot of bridges, and I think I've learned from the way that I've been let go and the ways that I've been taken care of by my previous employers, because I wasn't let go because of anything I did. It wasn't because of anything they did. There are emergency situations where the cannabis is not legal yet, and we've been banking on it becoming legal. And at some point, your investors are like, "Cut that marketing person, a cannabis educator." We're into point of use age gating. They're using Clear, and they're using, where you can the vape can identify a person's age and turns on or doesn't turn on. Like, they sold it to the UK government. Like, that's a whole nother level from where I thought I was going to be and where I want to be. They're going.
Yeah, did I just hear that?
So when someone, it's like a ID.
It's called Ike technology. The specific, the one that iSpire created is Ike technology. I'm forgetting what it stands for right now, but it uses Clear technology, like the TSA Clear. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say what kind of the technology is, but you can kind of surmise. There's only a couple of types of technology they use to identify you, and one's cheaper than the other. But it's going to be able to tell you, on the device, or the device, because there's point of sale age gating. But people, like we were saying, we were still able to get alcohol and cigarettes or whatever underage. So we don't want kids on vapes. And when you have somewhere like the UK or France banning vapes, the reason why is because they don't want youth. It's a youth prevention argument. And so what this does is this gets around the youth prevention argument and says, adults should still have access to this if they want, which is arguable. I was
child lock on it, basically.
What's
like
that?
A child lock.
It's exactly, that's literally what it is. It's the fancy way of saying it is point of use age gating, but yes.
Yeah, it's mad. And how does it actually tell the age?
So that's the Clear. So Clear, have you ever done like an online verification, for me, if I want to get like a teacher discount on my Verizon, my phone bill, they need you to like verify your identity in a certain way. They'll ask like a few questions. It's like kind of like a higher level. It's like a security question leveling.
Okay.
That's what they do with Clear. So when you go in and when you sign up for Clear, in the airport and you go to Clear, all they're doing is they're running like a quick background check to make sure you have no major federal crimes. I think infractions are fine, but anything misdemeanor or above that hasn't already had time served, or I don't know what it is, but basically they either flag you or they don't. But they know they're using your a document, a date of birth document. So it's either a social security card, a birth certificate, a California driver's license, or a state identification card. Those are like the types of identification, or passport. So all of those have your date of birth. So if your finger, it's the same thing. When you go up and you get verified at the Clear, they're verifying that you are who you are. So it even knows who's touching the vape. It's the same thing as, I don't know. Have you ever gone through the Clear? Have you ever gone through a Clear kiosk? I think it's an American thing. But
I don't really vapes of any kind.
You sign up, it's like $100 a year. It's so basically the difference between that and like global. There's TSA Pre, which is more of the airport one. TSA is more about, you don't have to take off your shoes. It's less security. You don't get searched as much. You don't have to take your laptop out. It's just faster and like less invasive. You don't have to take your coat off. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like chiller. So we always like that because we usually just are trying to get through as fast as we can, because we're just like, get me through here. So TSA, that's from the point where the officer is checking your documents to let you into the actual security area. Clear gets you past that whole line. So you still have to wait in that line for the person to check your documents to get into the TSA pre. So TSA pre is one form of a shortcut, because you go in front of all the people, have to take off their shoes and take out their laptops and have additional screening. And this one, TSA pre, you go in and they do a background check to make sure that you're not a criminal. So they just intrinsically trust you more. So they're not checking your shoes for bombs because they've already done a background check. You've gone to an office.
You've done the pre kind of.
$89 a year. It's like super cheap, and it literally can save you 40 minutes waiting. So here is a private organization that's one additional step to that. I have both because I'm usually traveling a lot and I like to get there 40 minutes before my flight. I'm not trying to be there 3 hours. So they'll get you to the front of that because Clear basically has they're paying. It's like a private entity that you're just it's basically just classism. It's like if you can afford to get to the front of that line, you can, like, time is money. It's like, if you don't have the money, you have to spend the time. If you have
the American dream. If you have money, you can do it.
So for me, like when there was like a bomb scare or whatever, and there was a situation in the airport, me having Clear and TSA pre, I was the only one out of like hundreds of people that didn't miss their flight because I had both. Right. And even the signing up for Clear, if you aren't already signed up, you have to go in a different line. So that takes even longer because they are verifying you. So once you're in that system, you're already like good to go. And luckily I don't have any major crimes and I need to like get through airports because I have like quick layovers and things like that. Like I've had such mess up travel stuff. So I don't mess around with the global stuff. I just like, I have nothing to hide and I just don't. And I, I have nothing to hide from my past, but I have things to hide maybe, otherwise. Want to be like the most trusted from a governmental perspective, so that on the ground what that looks like is they're just not checking every little thing, or if there is an issue they shoot you through. They like know, it is class. It is the American way. It's like, okay, you are basically part of the people that are rich enough to have a lawyer that will get you out of whatever situation you might get in. They don't want to play with you because they know at least in the United States, they don't mess with cannabis. They don't mess with cannabis in the TSA. They know. They say they even put out if you look it up on there was a tweet that the Transportation Security Association of the United States that works in all the airports put out that said, "Let us be blunt. We don't care about your weed. We're looking for weapons." And they did a whole campaign, "Let us be blunt," like making a joke.
Beautiful.
Kind of it was kind of not really their jurisdiction. It's not their concern. Like it's not a safety concern. They're
like having a pack of cigarettes in their pocket, like, what I mean? Who gives a shit? Like,
unless if you have a scale and you have a bunch of baggies and you have a people you're going to go drop off and invoices written out for the sale of it, obviously. But if you have under an ounce,
that's it. For personal use, absolutely fair.
And they don't want to mess with it. They know that we know our rights. Especially, I always joke, like, if they stop me, they got the wrong one. I'm a 5.1.
I can't see that. They're like, no, I'll leave it. I'll let it go.
Yeah,
give them a quick look, quick glance, and then it's like, nah, go ahead.
Lawyer.
Yeah.
No, I smell lawyers on her. And case studies and precedents and cultural like energy, and like I can articulate exactly what I know I need to say about.
You start hitting them with all that, they'll shit themselves. They're like, what the fuck?
Well, also, we get trained a lot to shut the fuck up. That's the joke here. What do you do when the cops come? Shut the fuck up. You don't say anything. That's when you're being arrested. That's with the cop. TSA is different. They're not cops.
It's lack of education, I think, where a lot of times when it comes to different levels of power. Like one of our friends in Scotland, he holds a medical card, but he got his cannabis taken off him by a young police officer that just didn't know this was
the new rules, the new norm.
You know what I mean? And I think that's a lot of times when it comes with police, it's their even lack of education.
He ended up getting it back. He kept going to the police station until eventually they gave him back. You know what I mean? So it's
literally, he's a big advocate.
Yeah, shout out Prestige 420. He has a page. He done a whole vlog on him going to the up shop. They're like, no, come back tomorrow. They went home, and then they go back the next day. Finally got it after days and weeks and bullshit and all, but.
But it's like that, people like himself, people like yourself that knows the laws and aren't afraid to speak up on behalf of it.
You
know what I mean?
That's it.
No, and literally
you have to be a martyr to the cause, you know what I mean? If I have to be a bit punished or a bit put out to educate the masses or to educate the people who should know, let me be the one. I'm strong enough to take that hit on cannabis.
1,000% agree. That's why I've admitted to multiple crimes on this podcast, and I do it all the time. I'm not. It's like, come at me, and I don't want to be. I don't want to be have bravado or say come at me, bro, literally. But like, we have the truth on our side. Like, this is
that's you're fighting a losing battle.
This is civil rights, just like all of our Black leaders, like just like all of our everything that's happened with women's rights. Like, this is an absolute human and civil rights issue, and by definition, it's not even my spin on it. It's bodily sovereignty and autonomy and spiritual and religious freedoms issue. It is a medical access issue.
On every level.
They are 100% on the wrong side of history, and they should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. Anyone who is involved in prohibition should 100% be punished and have to come out with an apology, and go through a re-education system where they understand and they get to hear from survivors, and they have to stop bad mouthing this shit. Like, they need, just like when you get fired from a job, you have a non-disparagement. You can't talk shit about your employer, all these things. Like, there need to be like non-disparagements about cannabis. Like, stop talking shit about it. Just like after the vaccines and everything, everyone shunned all the people who didn't want to get the vaccines, and then in the end, it turned out that they weren't so hot anyway, and no one ever came out. You know what? We just want to acknowledge that we didn't know, and we might have been acting a little rashly, and there was a lot of harm caused, and communities that were torn apart, and families that fought, and we maybe didn't have everything understood, and maybe some of those people were just trying to protect their health, and maybe we do deserve to apologize to all the people that we called grandmother killers for being concerned about some of these regulations and how they were being put out. Like, there was no reparations around the alienation around people wanting medical sovereignty. And I'm not going to like say my opinion on it. I personally decided not to get the vaccine because of medical reasons, because I have an endocrine disorder that affects my period. And every single woman was reporting that it was giving them problems with their periods, because Pfizer was only testing it on men. So there was only, they tested it like within less than 6 months, and they didn't have the right, it was like 50-year-old men. So all my young female friends, I'm like, I just spent 40 years getting diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder that I figured out why I don't bleed regularly. I'm not playing with my period, y'all. Like, it had nothing to do. I'm a public school teacher. I have every vaccine that has ever been invented. I've had multiple of. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I was not going to get a brand new vaccine that I knew nothing about, that Pfizer was going to get paid for. They weren't giving it away for free, and it was affecting people negatively. People were getting all kinds of weird reactions from it, and I was like, I'm going to wait to see more about this. And by the time we waited, it wasn't being enacted anymore. Split the whole cannabis industry, because you have the anti-pharma people, and then you had the people that are like the super liberals that just like wanted everything to go back to normal. They're just like, wear your mask and get your shot and just shut the fuck up. Like, let's go back. And I respect and love both. I didn't shun anyone from my community. I was shunned. I was politicized just by virtue of not having it. People thought that it was for political reasons. They didn't even care enough to ask me why. Even my endocrinologist said it on the phone. They couldn't put it in writing. She said, I don't recommend this for you, but I can't say it because I work at Kaiser, and we were literally threatened to lose our MDs if we do anything other than recommend this vaccine. And I'm like, I totally get it. And that's just word of mouth. You just have to believe me. There's no record of this. The people around me, I just had to tell, like, it was a hard time, but like, this is the things that we fight for. And if we don't if we don't acknowledge the harms that have been done, we can't move forward. Like, bless Canada for acknowledging Indigenous genocide and the re-education schools that murdered Indigenous children. Bless these small and not enough acts, but like, we'll just celebrate the micro wins that we get from the overlords. Just the acknowledgement. Biden tried to acknowledge something about the genocide too. I think the White House finally said something about the genocide of the Indigenous people. Like, it's not enough, but it's the first
footnote somewhere.
Like, let's get past our denial, and then we can heal. We're not going to ever be a unified United States of America when the president has never, in his over 4 years now, because he was 4 years ago, and now he's already been almost half a year, he's never been out to California. He came once, and he went straight to Orange County, went to a rally with all of his redneck friends, and left directly from Orange County in less than 3 hours or something. He's never been to California.
Why is he afraid of California?
You already know, bro. we ain't about that life out here, and he's super racist. He hates Mexicans and Black people. he feels comfortable in his place, which is New York and now Washington. So we aren't represented by them. In fact, I was just up at the Capitol the other day lobbying, and there was a whole group about that has been talking forever about us seceding. California is the 5th largest economy in the world, and we've been talking for a very long time about the succession from the United States, and we are being held captive illegally. It's just like Barcelona with Madrid. It's just like the way that the U.S. holds Puerto Rico and Guam and Hawaii.
So you want to be an independent country? That'd be cool.
We 100%, and I am 100% about that, even though it would cause major drama. It would be really bad for us.
But like Brexit times 1,000.
Because like we have a gag rule on us on things like cannabis and other things that we would have been able to make the money so that we could have said goodbye to the federal funding of like the schools and stuff. We could have made it had we not been gagged. You know what I mean? It's like a catch-22. Yeah. So it's like, I do know that it would cause major disruptions, but I also believe in California's ability with our agriculture, with our Hollywood and entertainment. And hopefully we get rid of one of our biggest elements of our economy, which is our prison industrial complex. We are the biggest prison in the world.
The fact that it's a business is just mental.
It's sickening.
It's crazy.
Sickening.
Like same with the hospitals and everything over there. America's more like a business than a country. Everything is needs to be fed. Like
that's literally what Elon and that is overtly what they have said. That was what they ran on, is we are going to run it like a business. And look at both of their businesses. Look at both of their businesses.
Like from prisons to schools to everything. It's just a business and just churned out. And like the prisons is the worst, and the hospitals, and they're definitely the worst.
Well, it's because of lobbying. It actually goes back to lobbying. If we didn't allow for lobbying and CPACs, these super PACs, to be able to let corporate interests and money corrupt our democracy, we wouldn't have this problem. It's the lobby, because the prison guard union is the strongest lobby in the state. Strongest lobby. I worked in schools in the hood or in low income areas that they would consider like targets. They would come, these surveyors would come, they would ask how many kids we had, mainly Black and brown children. And they would iterate out based on that. They call it the school to prison pipeline. They iterate out based on a kindergarten class size. Like, let's say the class of 2030 is going to be, 1 million, in the state of California, 1 million Black and brown kids. They will create an algorithm for how many more beds. Like, they're trying to make projections for building prisons. And they're using Black and brown bodies to expect X amount, because it's actually true and trackable.
Because it's made true.
That's because they push them that way. They're like, how many people do we need to
pipeline?
Yeah, 3 strikes are out, you're gone. It's very easy to get 3 strikes.
Also, it starts in kindergarten. You've got the white kid that's hitting and the Black kid that's hitting. The Black kid that's hitting is expelled for violence, and the white kid has special needs and gets a special sit-in teacher that makes him all day and accommodates his disability.
Yeah, it's crazy.
One gets called ADHD and put on Ritalin and which is
the other's a menace,
which is crack. And it changes your brain chemistry, and you're addicted to it for the rest of your life, meaning you can't get off of it. Once you're on Ritalin pretty much forever, because they get you when you're a child and you develop with Ritalin, you're on ADHD.
Yeah, you need it now as a crutch.
Okay. Literally, you have to, or else it breaks your brain.
It's crazy.
And you just see the Black and brown kids get died. First of all, ADHD is not necessarily, and I don't want to get too crazy about this, but in my opinion, as an educator, I have found it to be an umbrella overgeneralization for a grouping of other special needs and neurodivergence. It relates to us not fitting into a capitalist system, that ADHD people would probably be fine in other contexts, but because you're asking them to sit in a room,
you're labeling them.
So kind of in theory, not to ADHD is a real thing, and it helps. The diagnosis really helps people make sense of how they have to mask in this world. So in theory, we're just going to allow that. I'm just going to use that as a theory, but ADHD, as a designation for a child, is basically like a scarlet letter on them. They will, and so they're either getting medicated, or they're getting kicked out of schools, or they're being considered violent, or whatever. They're calling them on the spectrum or whatever, but it's always the Black kids. It is always the Black kid. The white kid has someone coming in, their white mom comes in and has the doula and the midwife and the neighbor and the psychologist, and she's probably in the space herself, and is like, my kid actually, and actually all kids deserve to have advocates, by the way. Like, this is amazing for this kid that someone is coming in and being like, I need a special, you are a public school teacher.
Everyone needs it.
The black and brown families don't necessarily have that access or the time or the confidence, or maybe they're just scared to be in the school environment because they're triggered by it, or they don't trust, maybe they're triggered just by white supremacy and they don't want to be around it. Like, they're just like,
they don't feel like they'd be even heard if they went in.
So that's another thing that, like, when you're looking at, like, just as a teacher and as a lobbyist, it's, these things are only getting as big and powerful as they are. They're only getting so overwhelming that we don't even know how to combat them because of these small things, that if we change rules around how money can be spent in campaigning and in the ways that criminalization of children, of black and brown children, is happening, if we get those two things down, we're not going to have a prison industrial complex. It won't work. Because we're not going to be feeding it. We're not going to be feeding
in the Netherlands, they've had to close down like 9 prisons in the last 10 years due to lack of criminals. Like,
where in Amsterdam?
In all of Netherlands, they had to close down like 8 or 9 prisons in the last 10 or 15 years because they didn't have people to put in them. It's because you take away petty crime and just chase real criminals, and then there's only a handful of them, and we only need 1 or 2 buildings for them. You know what I mean? Like, it's, if you stop making people criminals, you don't need the freaking prison to put them into. You know what I mean? It's a reality we know, and we just need to hope they see one day. Like, it's the sad truth of life.
It is, as you say, though, it's crumbling.
Yeah.
That way of life there.
Like, the whole timeline of cannabis was grand, and then, like, not even 100 years ago, boom, you know what I mean? Lives ruined, societies ruined, people ruined, and then 100 years, and now it's coming back up, and hopefully we'll get back on to just being even more useful, because then they didn't know how to use it. They still used it for ropes and for fucking textiles and paper and everything. But we could use it for so much more. We could use it for fuel. We could use it for medicine. We could use it for, so it can go from, it was great, to it was the worst thing in the world, to this thing is dominating.
Life-saving.
Every aspect of life could have hemp and cannabis and everything infused in it. Literally infused into life. Like, it's,
I really couldn't agree more. I say it all the time. You sound like, every time you open your mouth, I'm like, I've literally said those exact words.
No, it feels like we're on repeat, and everybody you talk to says the same thing. It's because we know it, and we have to keep saying it till other people know it. You know what I mean? And that's the sad truth of it.
We can't stop. We can't. We really can't. It needs to keep being.
Yeah, because you do say to some people, like, what are you talking about? It's only the people that know, like us, that when you talk to other people, it sounds like you're just talking to a wall. With them, or you're just getting, like, with them, they're just like, fucking, they just don't know, and they don't want to know. They're not. Or even when you hear them.
That's okay. That's the other thing we also need to do as activists. There's 8 billion people on this planet, and we also need to know when we're talking to a wall and saving our precious energy. Loving no's are also loving yeses if done in the right way. And we also, major thing I want to drive home with people is, do not have this conversation with people that are antagonistic towards you. Wait until de-escalated, unemotional moment with that person, or do not reapproach that subject.
Don't try and fight into them.
Arguments about this. We do not defend ourselves or come from an elevated place.
When they're ready to be educated, let them come, and you'll help them along.
Do not let these people suck your energy and pull you into a gaslighting. No, they don't get none of that from us.
You can't help anyone who doesn't want to be helped. So you have to.
And it's hard, because I think even a lot of people, when they start off, like even myself, I'm a bit of a, when I believe in something, I like to speak on it. But I started, as I'm growing older, to learn, just shut the fuck up. Know who to speak to.
Some battles aren't worth it. They're just wasting your time.
Or save it. Save it. It's like, just save it for someone.
Direct it in the right direction. Because you go out and argue with 100 people why weed is great, and they'll give you 1,000 super ideas why it isn't, and you're just wasting your time. And
but granted, I will say, I really get into some. I have gotten into the most random, like, people I will never see again. People who probably never had a conversation with a stranger about cannabis. Someone who might not even ever, maybe ever act on the information. But I have spent unbelievable amounts of times with people I'm sitting next to on an airplane, someone I run into of a parking lot of a dispensary when they're trying to figure out. I see them
crash course in cannabis.
random people that have not, they will never, it's not a broadcasted podcast. I'm never going to get credit. I have given unbelievable attention and high quality $1,000 advice and consulting to people when I feel like they like it might be the church lady that tells a couple other church ladies. Like if you do get someone that's kind of neutral to like curious, do take the time actually. And you're like, it might not ever result in like a sale or like, you know, you're planting a seed. You don't even know if it's ever going to bloom. But if your instinct tells you to spend a little extra moment or share personal, or just be like, I got somewhere to go right now, but this person, just like a couple minutes might actually like really change the world. Like it's the butterfly effect. One little flap wing.
That's it. Ripples just keeps going.
So,
and
you know, there is a
they
fine line.
tell one person, they tell two people, you know what I mean? It's
breaking the stigma.
Changing that little bit.
I love it. It makes me feel so connected to community and be like, I'm meant to be the weirdo that sparks up the cannabis. Or someone
doing your part
on my shirt. I'm waiting in the grocery store line and someone sees proud to work in cannabis. They fucking talk to me. Every time I wear that shirt, someone talks to me. Every time I have a cannabis leaf around my neck, someone says something. Every time I get in an Uber and they're saying, where are you going? I'm going to a cannabis event. The next 40 minutes are nonstop, won't shut up about it.
Questions.
You need to talk. So also be abundant and take good enough care of yourself to be able to drop into a serious 40-minute conversation when you could be catching up on emails. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm on my way to a speaking event. I'm about to be on a panel for 2 hours. I need to rest my voice. I need to rest my mind. I need to check over my notes. But no, I'm speaking to a Nigerian dude about cannabis in Nigeria. And that has important. Like I've taken this knowledge. I've like consciously, metacognitively been like, I have a finite amount of energy and I am still going to choose to have this superfluous, unnecessary, unrelated with a random person about cannabis, because there's something in me that tells me that that's going to be bigger than what I think it's going to be. And it's going to reinforce my
always
role
keep
as an
spreading
educator.
the good word.
So like be open to the magic too.
And now he has a different mindset. Whereas if they're coming home consuming and he has this fear, because you breaking that stigma, you're now changing even in that family's home. So it has like ripple effects. As you said, it's the small things. It doesn't need to be this big, massive global thing. It's the little pockets that make a massive difference.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's it. You can only affect the people around you.
It keeps it fun because I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but like for someone who has fun for a living, like this space, it really isn't that fun. All I do is complain with my friends about how no one's making money and all the broken dreams and all the problems with the cops and getting our Instagrams taken down. And I just got an ACH transfer shut down because I'm involved in cannabis and it wasn't from a cannabis company and I'm not a cannabis company. And I'm like, why does that money not come to me? I don't understand what happened. Like, what the fuck? They moved me or something like, and I'm just like, sometimes it's just not fun. Like sometimes I'm just like, you know, I just want to go back to like a job where I could just tell people what I do and not have to worry about it, or like bank or get a loan and not have to worry about it. And like all these things. And then stuff like that happens where I'm just like, I love this. I love like things like this with you guys. Like I have friends now from Ireland and Amsterdam. Like this is like special and it's worth it. And even it's like, if you don't have fun anymore, then you shouldn't.
There's nothing at the end. There's nothing at the end. It's all what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like if you're planning all this and doing all that, at the end of that, there's not a big celebration. It's more shit than now. So now is the good part. This is the fun part. This is why we want to do what we're doing.
My friend Simone always says that. You guys got to check out Envo Law. They're a Chilean marketing company, and Envo Law with Simone Pablo Espinosa. And he's always like, these are the times that we're going to be telling stories about, like this moment right now.
100%.
He says that. I'm always like, trippy, like this moment. He's always right, because now I'm talking about it. And that was a moment, and then it is in the moment.
Yeah, no, that's it. It is. There is nothing at the end. You know what I mean? It's as cliche as it sounds, it's all about the journey. It's all about what you're doing. Like obviously you have this end goal to set up this whole thing and blah blah blah. But like you've done so many different things. You're on to the next one, on to the next one. All of them were amazing, and now you're on to the next one. You know what I mean? Like you've worked with so many different brands, different this, and at the time that was everything. You had to get that great. That had to be perfect, and then that was done, and you're like, what do I do now? So it's all about keeping doing cool stuff and Kill shit will kill people. That's the main thing to do. Like, you know what I mean?
That's how she is. I have multiple phenos outside, you know, that like are all the same parents, and some are purple, some came early, some are tall, some are short. Like, keeps it fresh. She changes every season. The bugs that are attracted to her change. So sometimes we have caterpillars, sometimes we have mites, sometimes we have spiders, sometimes we have like every year it's something different.
It's something different, and that's it.
Lover.
And
like
every yield is different for it. Yeah, it's all unique in its own.
Every high is different. Every joint, even of the same batch of weed that we trim, if we mix it with a little tobacco, cured. You know, if we like smoke it when it's a little drier, it changes. If we wait 3 months till the end of the season, it's different. It's so refreshing. Like every lesson I learned, like I feel like that could be a coffee table book, like lessons of life metaphorically through what cannabis has taught us and how it translates directly into relationships and job and love and everything, you know?
Yeah. No, definitely, because it does. As a plant medicine, it has a lot of. It gives. I think that's why everyone that consumes cannabis, even though we're from all over the world, different cultures, everything, we all have the same kind of mindset. It's because it does. It unlocks different questions and makes you.
It gives you this kind of. You do all have this one way of thinking. Not like there's a like simple, but you all see it. You know what I mean? It's like your mind's been open to it, and everyone else knows it. And that's what when you tell other people, they don't even know what you're talking about because they can't see what we understand.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean?
Do you guys know about this? Like, I forget what it's called. The thing that the cat ladies get when they are around their poop, they get the virus that makes them identify with the cat and become. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I've heard something about this before. I don't know much
so
about
it sounds like a joke, but it actually like, I have a reason why I'm bringing this up, but I'm wondering. It's called toxoplasmosis. It's called crazy cat lady disease. It's caused by a parasite, Toxoplasma gondii. While the people with toxoplasmosis do not experience any symptoms, they develop the common. It can be flu-like symptoms, fatigue, but what they have is it has behavioral changes, increased risk-taking behavior, which means that they go into weird situations to save cats, obsessive compulsive disorder, jealousy, and attraction to cats. It's not, so it's been, it's a blood test diagnosis. So you don't know unless you go in and test for it. But the reason why these cats have it is because what they do when they're living in close proximity to rats and rats are exposed to their feces, they become enamored with the cats. And so when they see the cats, they just kind of look at them like they have videos of rats that have toxoplasmosis.
I've seen that kind of stuff.
Right. So this is a real thing. So it's like,
when you some sort of like genetics they put in to tranquilize the rats or something.
Yeah, no, it's actually just a byproduct of this parasite. Like it's the same thing with rabies. People with rabies have a fear of water. It just like delusional,
an irrational fear of water.
Well, imagine that's crazy. Like if you have like this cat thing where like
irrational love for cats.
Rat, you're just like obsessed with cats. And it's funny because to your point, it's like if we smoked weed and weed was like this toxoplasmosis where it makes you like advocate for weed, it makes you want weed. And the other thing is like crazy cat ladies are always like really like feel seen and heard when they meet other crazy cat ladies. Are like, oh my god, we love cats. And it's like this whole thing where they're like, oh my god, like they don't feel as crazy because they feel validated and like legitimized. So it's like, are we crazy cannabis
ladies?
Yeah.
Where we're just like, we defend it, we feel great about it. When other people are into it, we're like, oh my god, you're crazy about it too. Oh my god, we're like, and like fuck all those people that don't get it. But it's
it does a good job of brainwashing everyone that uses it. You know what I mean? Like only the weak minds can't get brainwashed.
We should do a whole expose. We should do a live panel one day, just discuss this topic of like, are we under her trance?
Yeah, is it some sort of
are we soldiers in job army?
Across, you know what I mean? That's hilarious. Like a Simpsons episode, or we're all just being controlled by this plant, you know what I mean?
Oh my god, I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you, write this down for your comedy. We've had 3 epic comic ideas.
Tell everyone how great I am. Don't never stop telling people fight for my freedom. Free her. Free Mary Jane.
People get tattoos of her all the time. Thousands of people a day across the world are getting a cannabis.
it's more of a religion than most religions. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. And in Rasta, it actually really is a part of the Rasta religion.
Yeah.
No, massively. It is. It's within so many, as you even said, like within so many like religious scriptures and cultures.
Yeah.
It's
In the pyramids, they found it and stuff.
Right.
Like, fucking,
like for
ancient
thousands of
China.
years.
Yeah, I mean that's it. Like when you meet other stoners, everyone has this kind of communal. There's no, you know what I mean. There's obviously something in it that it just makes us all fucking more creative and more accepting and more fucking.
Well, look at mushrooms. The mushroom community is like that too. It's mycelium. If you actually look at the way that mycelium works, like you can have a mycelium that's 3,000 acres long that spans from one side, like they have in Oregon, the largest mushroom in the world is a mycelium that spans an entire national forest. And if there's a tree that's burning on this side of it knows thousands of acres away. It knows what's going on. It's a brain. So our brains, our eyes, they look the same as micro. But when you look at it, all of it under a microscope, all of our shit, our neurons and mycelium look the same. So and that's how communities are. And this is, if you guys know about the Japanese subway story, they put the Japanese government put a piece of bacteria in the middle of a dish or put something food in the
they built the thing and then
the bacteria find its way to it in the most efficient routes.
They put bacteria into something that looked like the subway system and let that find the most direct routes and use that to map out. They knew bacteria would find the best way to get there, and they followed whatever that says.
Naturally intelligent.
And put that under the city.
It is so intelligent.
Yeah.
And it's literally the way our eyeballs look. If you look at the retina, like the way our eyeballs, that's the way that the universe and the galaxies look. So
yeah.
It's all
But like if you say bacteria or fungi,
people just think
people are like, ew.
Yeah, you've got diseases.
They don't even
like,
understand the actual intelligence behind
it. They all have
they'll drink kombucha until they realize that it's a bacteria and a yeast. That it's a living yeast bacteria. They're like, ew, but it tastes so good. I'm like, because it's full of sugar.
So my sister works for Guinness's, and during lockdown, they still have the same yeast they used fucking 250 years ago when they first started making Guinness. And they said if they had have shut down during lockdown, they would have had to take 3 months to slowly bring down the yeast because they don't want to lose it because it's a living organism. And then it would take another 3 months to build it back up to replicate. And they're like, it'll take too much time. So because that living organism's been going since 1759, I think it was, they've been using the same yeast to make Guinness ever since in the Guinness storehouse. So that's the living organism, like mental.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's like hearing some of these like synagogues, they've kept the light burning for like 4
months. Yeah, the candle's been going for
flame. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I remember hearing that going, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm getting an award from my friends at Golden Eagle Partners. They do like a recognition award every year, and they awarded me the cockroach award this year. And I joke because I'm like, yeah, that's what people call the Jews, rats, and cockroaches. And I'm like, that's a compliment. We stick around. People do not like us. We may be funny looking. We may weird people out. We're a little strange. We're a little annoying and freaky.
We'll still be there.
We are dedicated to our work.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's
Love
hilarious.
it.
Such a compliment.
Yeah.
Cockroach award. I'm like, I'm so excited to announce a cockroach award.
Fuck yes, you
Straight
gotta
on your
see
CV.
Still here. Still here. It was so lovely talking to you guys. I'm going to enjoy the last little bit of sunlight.
Yeah, no, we'll let you go. It's been 2.5 hours. It's been great.
wow.
We've talked about so much. Yeah, no, it's been amazing.
No, really, and thank you for so much knowledge.
Yeah.
Anytime. Let's do it again sometime. I would love to.
No, you need to hook up and get her into that lady's.
Yes.
Yeah. She's terrible at texting back, but I'll make sure she gets on it.
Yep. Empower Her Society, spelled empower, but with an H in between the W and the E. Empower Society is on Instagram too. Any women can follow it. Just send them a DM and they'll send you the invite link.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll get the word out there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it's been great. And we need to get you to Amsterdam at some stage.
Yes, I do. Jack's been trying to get me out there too. And a good friend of mine at Champs, Nick, he says he goes out there every New Year's for like a decade. He loves it.
Oh yeah,
Val was out there for
wild there. It's crazy. I've worked most of them,
but I've heard it's wild. Val Uga, she was out there living out there for a while. Little Val, she's a Mexican Italian girl who speaks Dutch. little
Is she a
Valuka.
photographer? By any chance?
I don't know.
No.
She might be taking photos. She's like more of a terpene bioscience person, but she was living.
Okay. Oh, beautiful.
Maybe if you do end up coming to Mary Jane, you can hit Amsterdam on your trip. Get both of
That
them
makes
in.
sense. And actually, I might be. My little sister is graduating from college, so we are planning a Europe trip, and I think we're gonna
Oh,
go
there
through
you go.
So, and she's very open. She's not like a huge into everything kind of thing, but she's like open to all of it. So we can definitely stop by coffee shops, and she'll dig it. For sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
We'll have you on the podcast again in the studio. Then you can get your hat.
Oh, how fun!
Yeah.
Oh man, that would be the best. I heard a dog barking, so I'm really excited. I have to
Yeah,
read
no, he's down here annoying us. That's the Kush
no!
puppy.
Hey, it was only one bark. I was actually surprised that it wasn't my dog.
You can't hear half the ground.
My guys.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Here. Odie, come up. Come here.
Odie.
Look, his name is Odin.
Odin. Oh, like that's a Norse
Norse god. Right? Yeah, I'll get a treat and I'll get him.
Of course he would be. That's so Irish of you guys.
Yeah, he loves to be a part of the show. That's why he gives a little bark.
What's your guys' relationship? How do you know each other?
When I first moved over, I met these people that weren't real like stoners. And I remember even like the first comment, one of the girls, she mentioned about some other guy was like, every time he goes outside, he smokes a joint. And I was like, oh shit, I thought everyone here blazed. And then I got introduced to Glenn and the gang, and it's just grown since then. Nah. We've hosted events, we've done the podcast, we're two crazy cunts that do a lot. Yeah, this is the Kush puppy.
Oh my god.
Yeah. He's a big baby.
Oh my god, he's a dream.
Mm-mm.
Oh, I would kiss that dog all over. Yeah, that would be. Yeah, that's that. Honestly, now I'm coming to Amsterdam. That is my favorite pup. We love a Staffy. We love a Pity Mix.
He has his own Instagram. It's a Kush puppy.
Wait, what is he?
The Kush puppy. Yeah, I think it's
just like that.
The _Kush _puppy.
Yeah.
He's right now.
There's his that's his logo when you find it.
He's pretty famous. Oh my god, he is literal perfection. Where did you get him? Did you rescue him?
No, do you know what's funny? So basically, a friend of mine, her dog got pregnant from her dog got pregnant. Look at him when he was a pup. I had him in the coffee shop. I got him during lockdown, so it was just me and him in the coffee shop every day. No one else allowed inside. Yeah. So a friend of mine literally, her dog got pregnant by her boyfriend's dog. They never planned to have puppies. Then I wanted one. Then I was living in a house that I couldn't have one. Then I ended up having to move. And just as I was about to move, she had one puppy left and it was him. So it was just, worked out perfect. And then, as I said, it was during lockdown. So it was just, I had my coffee shop had a door with a little hatch. And it was just me and him in there selling weed. He was tiny little thing, was floating around the coffee shop. And I'm
sure it was great for sales. People are like, whatever about the weed, but I came.
Yeah, people just coming over to the window. But he's a legend. He's
part of the
he is. He's one of the crew. He's a sassy little shit, but he's a legend at the same time. But you'll have to come over and meet him at least.
Oh, love it. I love crazy dog people. Yeah, if there's a crazy dog lady disease, I for sure.
Yeah, no, dogs and weed, they have me. You know what I mean? They've both of them have me fucking, as much as sometimes I want to kill them, I love them as well. You know what I mean? Like
they're heaven and hell. That's why I always tell them. I'm like, you're heaven and hell.
Yeah, no, literally. Yeah, no, it's a.
Well, and I hate to say it for all my friends in the UK, they kind of think it's weird, but I'm like, I haven't been to the UK. I've boycotted, like there's Product Earth and there were all these events and a lot of my friends are out there and I actually have no problem with it in theory, but they're XL bully. They're giving money to people to kill the bullies and they're putting down XL.
One of my friends was going to start breeding them. He bought 3 XL bullies and 6 months later they're made illegal. He still has them, but he can't breed them. Or I think he had to neuter them all.
No, and you have to pay. You get fined. You get fined either per month or per year or something, like, or you either have to send them out or like, but they are 100% discriminating against greed. And I'm like not going to support a country that
I can get on the tram with him. I can go into a coffee shop with him. I can get on. I can walk in now.
That's why I'm glad you're in the Netherlands. The Netherlands is the California of Europe.
It's the freedom here is unparalleled to anywhere else. It's crazy.
I'm so happy for you guys. You guys deserve that. Because I know the freedom fight has been a very long and violent and bloody, arduous one. Like the Irish have gone through more than almost anyone. You guys are up there with
literally,
and bad run for y'all. So I know you guys have been through a lot of times that have made you have to fight for liberation. So just epigenetically, I'm sure your ancestors are grateful that you guys get to just have a sigh of relief and live your best lives.
Be free and have our best lives. No, that's
Oh, thank you.
So many of them
not
did
many
it.
even know the Irish history.
No, for sure. Even we were saying earlier, the English don't even know the Irish history.
No. Well, because why would you want to know about what you did to people? Why would you want to know
them all the wars they won? You know what I mean?
It was 100% a genocide. Well, this is why you guys have been standing up for Palestine so much too. It's like there's been a big push.
If anybody knows what they're going through, it's the Irish people. Like, you know what I mean? It's still going through with the North. You know what I mean? It's still we're still fucking they're still
under their control.
I can't remember there's another word.
Which is the same reason why you can understand what it's like. What you can also relate to Jews for being persecuted. It's like I always say, like, this is the oppression Olympics. Like, no one's gonna win the oppression Olympics. We've all been fucked. Like, I'm not gonna play. We're not gonna play this game. You know what I mean? It's like this is the
people using religion as a weapon. You know what I mean?
And it's the political leaders. It's just every Palestinian and Jew that I know has major qualms with the people that are trying to represent them in the media right now. They're like, I do not identify with the state of blah blah blah. They're like, whatever's going on. Like, that is not who we are. We are loving neighbors. We don't care about race, religion, creed. Like, that's not an important thing to most people. What people care about is how you treat other people and how you treat them.
No, for sure.
If you're a kind,
far past the religious beliefs, like
and don't support imperialism. Don't support people that are trying to, use violence to oppress other people. And the problem with Israel is they've been had violence against them too. And this is the problem is like the cycle. It's like everyone has a good reason to do what they're doing. No one doesn't have
make it right. Like
everyone's got a great fucking excuse.
It's
not okay. It doesn't make it okay.
Can't justify it. Especially in these modern times, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we have other ways to de-escalate. We have other ways. It's like we're using like caveman bonking people.
Yeah. That's because we still are. We think we're more advanced than we really are because we have
need women in power. It's why chicks running shit.
Women in power and plant medicine. We bring all that back in. Ooh, the world is going to be a lovely place.
No, that's it.
Amen. On that.
That's a perfect place.
If you want to follow me, you can find me on Instagram, Luna_Stower, STOWER, or lunastower.com, and hit me up anytime with questions. If you need anything, I'm here for you. And if you're in the United States, check out Champs Trade Shows and come visit me at one of our upcoming trade shows.
Nice. Love that. It was so great talking to you. It really was.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely stay in contact and we'll get you over here soon.
Absolutely. Yep. And if you're on LinkedIn, I'm more active on LinkedIn than anything. I really recommend that people get on LinkedIn. I know back in the day it was more of like a kind of a dry professional Rolodex. And now it's actually the only social media that you can really talk about cannabis and meet thought leaders and business owners. It's a lot more professional. It's more B2B. So consumers might not be as interested unless you're like in the sciences or in a profession that, you're already on LinkedIn, but highly recommend people looking into LinkedIn, LinkedIn.com, for just professional networking. That's not Facebook where everyone's just posting political stuff. Like, it's way more, Hi, Weeby. You're a boss.
She's a wee legend. She's like doing a lot in Northern Ireland for the cannabis community. She's a legend. See, in her logo,
love the logo.
Has she has 21 by 20 tattooed on her finger.
See, I'm telling you, the tattoo culture is strong with us.
Yeah.
We have toxoplasmosis of cannabis. We have crazy cat lady disease of cannabis.
That's it.
I'm telling you, spread the rumor.
Yeah.
Get this rumor started. I'm totally down to have students pro science.
It's Stockholm syndrome, and I love it.
I love talking to you guys. Let's do this again sometime
Yeah,
soon.
no, anytime for sure. If you're here, we'll do it here, or if not, we'll do it online again for sure. Go on. Have a good day.
Bye.
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 See you later.